Check, check. Mike.
Believability the more he repeats it. And if his intention is to convince the agents that he has a heart underneath the cruelty, the conclusion to his story erases that possibility.
And then the next day...
Let me put out a tweet real fast. I don't know if you can see, dude. I am sunburnt as fuck. I am so fucking sunburnt. We're gonna just go ahead and
going
start
out to
it.
kill somebody, if you're seen by a single other person on the trail, then that day's screwed.
In Cherokee County, Georgia, a sheriff's deputy stops to question a man parked on private hunting lands. At worst, the man is guilty of trespassing, or so the deputy thinks as he approaches.
Good, yourself, sir? What you doing out here?
Well, you're the fourth person to come along
Am I?
and ask me that. I guess they called you, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
I just wanted to place a camp because I'm on my way to Cutter. I'm leaving. As a matter of fact, I'm getting my maps together. I got to buy some maps right now.
That's why I just came out to let you know this is Lee's hunting property, and they're very strict about who.
I see that.
But behind this man's friendly demeanor is a calculating predator hiding bloody secrets and a lengthening trail of bodies.
Life has been sweet. We gotta document it. Look, I'm taking a picture of what I'm... Come for immortality right there.
If there's deer hunters around there, I can be wearing a purple shirt.
What's up with dude's
that
face?
red backpack, and they're going to tell me I'm going to get shot. But, that's a common threat.
When you say, I won't kill anyone today, we'll just go hiking with my dog, have fun. We're doomed anyway.
I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. God almighty.
Can I get your ID real quick?
Yeah, you sure can. You see that fanny pack right there?
Yes. Are there any weapons in that fanny pack?
Absolutely not, and I'm going to bring it to you.
The deputy follows the man back to his van, never suspecting for a moment that he is in the presence of a cold-blooded monster who has killed before and whose thirst for violence has not been quenched.
And when you get down to the bitter end, you ignore all the rules you set, which
Alright, dudes, we got another brand new Explorer with us. Holy fuck, 45,000 views in an hour. That's insane. When a serial killer vlogs during his murder spree. Let's get into it.
when you're going out to kill somebody, if you're seen by a single other person on the trail, then that day's screwed.
In Cherokee County, Georgia, a sheriff's deputy stops to question a man parked on private hunting lands. At worst, the man is guilty of trespassing, or so the deputy thinks as he approaches.
Good, yourself, sir? What you doing out here?
Well, you're the fourth person to come along
Am I?
and ask me that. I guess they called you, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
I just wanted to place a camp because I'm on my way to Cutter. I'm leaving. As a matter of fact, I'm getting my maps together. I got to buy some maps right now.
That's why I just came out to let you know this is Lee's hunting property, and they're very strict about who.
I see that.
But behind this man's friendly demeanor is a calculating predator hiding bloody secrets and a lengthening trail of bodies.
Life has been sweet. We got to document it. Look, I'm taking a picture of what I'm... Come for immortality right there.
If there's deer hunters around there, I can be wearing a purple shirt, that red backpack, and they're going to tell me I'm going to get shot. But, that's a common threat.
When you say, I won't kill anyone today, we'll just go hiking with my dog, have fun. We're doomed anyway.
I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. God almighty.
Can I get your ID real quick?
Yeah, you sure can. You see that fanny pack right there?
Yes. Are there any weapons in that fanny pack?
Absolutely not, and I'm going to bring it to you.
The deputy follows the man back to his van, never suspecting for a moment that he is in the presence of a cold-blooded monster who has killed before and whose thirst for violence has not been quenched.
And when you get down to the bitter end, you ignore all the rules you set, which I did.
Oh, I do have an expanded comm link right there. Don't get nervous.
The following report is based on official police records and most of the footage has never been seen before until now. The first sign of trouble in Leon County, Florida comes when 46-year-old nurse Cheryl Dunlap doesn't show up for her Sunday school class. But it's not until she misses work at Florida State University the next day, December 3, 2007, that her friend reports her missing. Her adult son goes by her house, hoping to find an innocent explanation.
The dog was still in there. What was your first thoughts? This ain't good. She's been missing for 2 days and that dog is still in there. That dog goes everywhere with her. And if she's not taking it, she makes arrangements for it to be taken care of. Now, that dog was my brother, if you will.
Police soon realize that no one in Cheryl's life has heard from her since the morning of December 1st, 2 days earlier, when she told a friend she was going to the library. She was logged into the Wakulla County Public Library's computer system at 9:45 that morning, and she cashed a check for $100 at 11:15 a.m. After that, police know nothing. They ask her friends if she might have suddenly decided to leave it all behind.
She wanted to travel. Literally, her actual words was, she said, Laura, she said, I really want some adventure in my life. But she also said that she wanted them through missions. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about Cheryl is godly. You hear about people that are Christians, but she was the type person that she really tried to live this Christian life. I mean, the way the Bible said.
The idea that Cheryl walked away from her job, her friends, and her 2 sons doesn't seem likely, and the likelihood dims that afternoon when Cheryl's car is found parked off the road near Leon Sinks Geological Park. It's been abandoned. There's no sign of Cheryl or anyone else.
Then we got the call, said they found the car while we were there at the house. So we went there, and I just sat there watching them process it for a little while. And I had heard over the radio that there was a foul odor coming from the trunk. So I wanted to go to see myself if I could, if it was or wasn't. So I stood around there and I couldn't smell nothing, so.
But there are troubling signs. Her purse and keys remain in the vehicle. Her belongings are scattered across the seat, and one of the rear tires is flat. When police take a closer look, alarm bells begin to sound. The tire appears to have been deliberately punctured. Signs of foul play are mounting, and it has Cheryl's friends in turmoil.
I've lost a brother suddenly. I've lost a sister. I've lost my mom and dad. And nothing has shaken me like this. Absolutely nothing.
Her son, meanwhile, reflects on a memory he fears may haunt him forever.
I started trying to call her and ask her opinions about what I should do with my life. She didn't have her phone on that day. And I was outside building the pen when she called back. And I told her I couldn't talk or anything.
How long ago was this?
A couple of weeks ago.
That was the last time you talked to her?
I didn't even talk to her.
But that's the last time you heard from her?
Cheryl Dunlap's picture is splashed across the local media. A couple reports seeing her at Leon Sinks on the afternoon of December 1st, sitting on a bench reading a book. From that point forward, her whereabouts are unknown. That is, until police learn from Cheryl's bank that her ATM card has been used 5 times between December 2nd and December 4th to make withdrawals totaling more than $700.
So if someone
How'd the
used
motherfucker
card,
know
they
his
would
PIN?
have to know it or either get it from her. It wouldn't be where they could just look at it and see it.
No. Probably the only way that she gave up that PIN number was either they threatened her life or her grandbaby's lives.
Investigators head to the bank's main branch to see if there's video, while also looking to the public for help.
Do you remember seeing a gentleman that might have roused your suspicion at all?
No, there's a lot of people come in here that rouses my suspicion. I look at every one of them.
Police have a long investigation in front of them, but what they see at Cheryl's bank makes it clear that there's no time to waste. In video of her recent ATM transactions, detectives see what they feared most. It's not Cheryl Dunlap using the ATM, but a shadowy figure wearing a disturbing homemade mask. Investigators note that the man is tall and thin, but that's not a lot to go on, even for those who know Cheryl best.
Any suspicions as far as people?
I can't imagine anybody. Because I mean, my mom's that type that everybody loves her. She doesn't have any enemies. She's not a Lulu that she just go disappearing. Even the description of the guy on the ATM machine, I can't think of anybody out of description. Skinny, tall, lanky. Can't think of anybody.
The identity of the man behind the mask remains a mystery. But a month later, more than 300 miles to the north, another woman would suddenly vanish. And this time, the monster wouldn't stay in the shadows. On January 1st, 2008, a 24-year-old Georgia woman named Meredith Emerson leaves a note for her roommate before heading off on a hike with her black lab, Ella. When she still hasn't returned by the next morning, her roommate files a report with the Union County Sheriff's Office. Meredith's boyfriend goes looking for her car, which she finds in one of the parking lots at Blood Mountain, one of Meredith's favorite hiking spots. He leaves a note on her car and, with the eventual help of friends and police, begins searching the trails and the surrounding wilderness. Soon, news of her disappearance is statewide, as an investigator with the Dawson County Public Defender's Office told EWU.
It hit the papers here because where she went missing is not far from here. So the county was put on full alert. I mean, we were aware of the case probably as soon as she was declared missing.
But despite the intense search effort, there's no sign of Meredith. Investigators talked to several people who saw Meredith on the mountain on New Year's Day, and it turns out they noticed something else as well, an older man lurking nearby. One witness says he even came across a suspicious scene a few minutes after seeing the two, a disturbed portion of the hiking trail, as if there had been a struggle. Left behind on the ground were several items, including water bottles, a dog leash, and most ominously of all, an expendable police baton. Witnesses described the man they saw with Meredith, a 60-year-old white male, around 5 foot 10 inches, 160 pounds. And they mention another fact as well. He had a large reddish dog with him. Police share these details with the local media, and the tips start rolling in. Could this man be responsible for Meredith's disappearance? Could he even be the same sinister figure seen taking money out of Cheryl Dunlap's bank account a month earlier? The cases are eerily similar. Two women, alone by themselves on national forest land, and now both of them missing. In Leon County, Florida, the tips in Cheryl's case are beginning to take on
Wait, did he take the money out in broad daylight? With that shit on? You can't tell. I doubt it, though, right?
Dunlap's bank account a month earlier. The cases are eerily similar.
What kind of mask is that?
Two women, alone by themselves on national forest land, and now both of them missing. In Leon County, Florida, the tips in Cheryl's case are beginning to take on a familiar shape.
Ran into this man and his white van, and his dog started barking at us. A big dog, kind of reddish, brownish hair, long hair, I guess.
Again and again, witnesses come forward to describe a very specific man they saw in the area, and most of them agree that it was late November 2007, only days before Cheryl Dunlap went missing.
And we saw an old man, skinny, I remember he was skinny, looked homeless, walking towards us.
A gentleman was standing in front of it and said hello, and he engaged in conversation immediately. I noticed stuff strewn around the campsite, and the most prominent thing was a beautiful dark red Irish setter.
This gentleman with his dog approached me coming out of the woods, and it made me nervous.
Is that the dog? A red Irish setter? Oh, it is a dog. Really, that looks like a spaniel, though, no? Good family dogs. I used to have an English spaniel. I think, right? English spaniel. Was it English? Yeah, dude, I used to have an English spaniel when I was a kid. His name was Spot. He was a pretty chill dog. Pretty chill.
He had this big long knife strapped to his side. The dog was looked like a golden retriever, but it was like a dark rust color.
Probably 5'9", 5'10". He's an older man.
Scruffy in the face, maybe missing a couple of teeth in the front.
He gave me the creeps when I saw him.
He weirded us out so much that, I mean, I was just joking, completely joking around when I said this, but when we left, I was like, man, that guy's killed like 10 people.
An older man, a white van, a red dog. The details coming in are consistent. First in Florida, and then a month later in the Georgia mountains. But it's not until a businessman named John Tabor hears the news that police are finally able to put a name to this phantom. Tabor calls the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's tip line and says the man they're looking for used to work for him selling house siding, right up until the day he demanded money and threatened to kill him. The man drives a white Chevrolet Astro van, and he has a red golden retriever he calls Dandy. His name, Tabor tells them, is Gary Michael Hilton, and that's when things start to move very quickly. Armed with this new information, the GBI finds Hilton's driver's license records in the
What
system,
is he holding?
and they send out an updated Be on the Lookout report to law enforcement and the general public that includes his name and photograph. Hilton is labeled a person of interest in Meredith Emerson's disappearance, and investigators hope to find him before it's
Wait,
too
he
late.
was seen?
Unfortunately, in the Florida case of
Hold up. What did that say? Said he was seen with her? Gary Michael Hilton was seen with Emerson. Wait. They wanted to. I thought it said I went to talk. Who was seen by other hikers in Vogel State Park as he and Emerson walked with their dogs. Authorities said the woman's water bottle and the leash for her black mixed breed dog, Ella, were discovered a few hundred yards from her car. Oh, that's pretty damning, dude.
Investigators hope to find him before it's too late. Unfortunately, in the Florida case of Cheryl Dunlap, hope has already run out.
I drove up in there to where I like to walk the dogs in, and I seen some buzzards fly up just right beside the road.
On December 15th, 2007, 14 days after Cheryl Dunlap was last seen, a hunter comes upon a tragic discovery in the forest.
I told my son to stay in the truck to, let me see what the buzzards was doing. And I walked out there, and it appeared to be a human body. At first, all I could see was just maybe the torso. I didn't see a head. All I could see was from maybe neck to waist.
Okay.
God damn.
And I thought it was a deer to start with. And when I looked at it, and I seen the leg and the foot sticking out, and I knew what it was then.
The body is nude and is already significantly decomposed. It is found deep in the forest off the main roads.
It appeared to have been somebody tried to cover it up.
Police find the body covered in tree limbs and palmetto fronds from the surrounding woods, but that's not enough to hide the damage that has been done to this woman. Her hands have been removed. Her nipples have been cut off. She's been decapitated and left out here to rot. Because of the advanced decomposition in the missing head, the medical examiner could only label the cause of death as undetermined homicidal violence. 4 days later, the Leon County Sheriff's Office holds a press conference to announce the grim news the community
Wait. Did they say they do an autopsy?
Cut off. She's been decapitated and left out here to rot. Because of the advanced decomposition in the missing head, the medical examiner could only label the cause of death as undetermined homicidal violence. 4 days later...
Bro, wait. Is a medical examiner different from an autopsy person, or... Is a medical examiner the one who does the autopsy? Yes, a medical examiner is one who typically performs autopsies, especially in cases of medico-legal. I've never heard that word before. Okay. Death investigation. Bro, sure. Oh, I guess because the decomposition, I guess.
The Leon County Sheriff's Office holds a press conference to announce the grim news the community had feared. The body in the woods belongs to Cheryl Dunlap. Authorities in Georgia are desperate to catch up to Gary Hilton before the same fate befalls Meredith Emerson. On January 4th, 3 days since her disappearance,
cut off her
there's a
nipples.
development.
I guess, can those be used to identify somebody? I don't know, man. I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna end up on a list. Why would someone cut off someone's nipples? Can they be used to identify someone? Wait, people do this for like just... Oh, okay. Wait, research suggests that the nipple areola complex can be a useful characteristic for offender identification. I guess that makes sense, right? Like, we don't have to go into it, but yeah, that could be used as like a fingerprint
A black
or something.
lab
Like,
is spotted walking into a Kroger
something like that.
supermarket in Cumming, Georgia. It's chipped, and before the day is through, they've identified it as Ella, Meredith's dog. When Meredith's father speaks to the press, he says, "We're happy that Ella has been found, but Meredith is still out there." Later that day, a woman reports that Gary Hilton called her wanting money. The return number comes from a payphone, and police quickly track it to a Quick Trip in Cumming, just across the street from where Ella was found. They process the payphone for evidence, but it's what they find in the nearby dumpster that gives them a shock. A woman's purse, bloody clothing, and a wallet with identification cards inside. The driver's license and student ID cards belong to Meredith Emerson.
Oh, shit.
If the hunt for Gary Hilton could ever become more intense, it just did. And that night, police get the 911 calls they've been hoping for.
Hi, I'm calling from Cadenbridge Square Shopping Center, and I'm calling about that person, Gary Hilton, in connection with the woman that's missing.
A man matching Gary Hilton's description has been spotted at a Chevron station in Chamblee, Georgia, approximately 30 miles south of Cumming.
But I'm walking my dog, and at the gas station up here, there's a white van and a red dog wandering around like his red dog.
It's definitely him. The van is there. The dog is there. I saw his face.
He's got a whole bunch of stuff he's pulling out like he's living out of his van, pulling out and organizing his stuff in his van. And he's throwing stuff in
He's throwing stuff in the dumpster here. He's making multiple trips back to his van and getting out and taking it to a dumpster.
This dude is reckless.
We're around to that location at a PIB. It's definitely him. He's looking around like he is as guilty as sin.
He's going to be gone if somebody doesn't get here.
I can go take him down if you want.
No, sir. Stay right there.
Okay. He looks like he's finishing up. You guys got to hurry. Oh, I'm just shaking. Here we go. Here comes the cop. Yes. Yes.
Police are there?
Yes. Yes. They got him.
Hilton goes flat on the ground immediately and is taken into custody. The police also secure his van and his now famous red dog, Dandy. But while the arrest goes off without a hitch, every officer on scene can see for themselves the unsettling truth. Meredith Emerson is nowhere to be found. Hilton is taken to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, where he lies prone on the floor, unwilling to cooperate and complaining of pain from multiple sclerosis.
Mr. Hilton, my name's Clay Bridges. I'm a special agent with the GBI. Over the past couple of days, I've come to know you pretty good. I've spoken with numerous people who say that you're extremely healthy, extremely smart, very intelligent, almost genius level. I would prefer to talk.
What is multiple sclerosis? Isn't that like a skin condition? Multiple sclerosis is a chronic, often disabling disease that attacks the central nervous system, specifically the brain and spinal cord. It occurs when the immune system mistakenly attacks the myelin sheath, a protective covering around nerve fibers. Okay. Okay, buddy.
Talk to you if you were kind of sitting up and I could look at you a little bit. And I understand that you're a distance runner and that you are a very healthy individual.
With Hilton unwilling to answer questions, the agent says something that is perhaps intended to get a reaction.
Boy, I tell you, it's a whole lot warmer down here than it was up on Blood Mountain.
But Hilton doesn't take the bait, and neither the GBI nor the doctors can get him to talk.
We're going to take really good care of you, okay? Basically.
Like you already have.
Yes, sir. Do you feel like you've been mistreated?
Yes, I have.
When was the last time you had a good meal?
I'm through talking to you. I'm making those statements. I don't want to be interrogated anymore.
Well, if you don't want to talk to me, then I'm going to make the decision that right now you're not an immediate life threat and that you could possibly stay here with these gentlemen, continue doing with them what they need to do with you, okay?
Put me back in the handcuffs.
There are many signs that Hilton has been in an altercation, including a cut on his nose and a badly swollen right hand. GBI agent Clay Bridges leaves Hilton with a final thought.
Remember what I told you about that, about Meredith? You need to go ahead and just tell us where she's at, okay? That's so much more in your favor.
Aside from it being the right thing to do.
Hilton isn't moved by this appeal to his conscience, which is perhaps not surprising if he's the man guilty of killing Cheryl Dunlap in Florida. And the evidence is growing. The tips keep coming in Leon County, and police search campsites near where Hilton was reportedly seen. At one, they make a horrifying discovery: a burn pit, amongst which they find charred finger bones and skull fragments. The limited remains make DNA identification impossible, but police are almost certain that the remains belong to Cheryl, and it won't be long before evidence in the Meredith Emerson case draws an undeniable line between the two women. With Hilton unwilling to talk, police in Georgia focus on his van. Since Hilton has been living in the Chevy Astro for a long time, there's no shortage of things to look through. And along the way, they come up with a fascinating discovery: a Sony digital camera and several memory sticks containing some very interesting videos.
Look, I'm taking a picture of what I'm... Come for immortality right here. Good. The camera's right there.
What the fuck?
As Pruitt would say. Oh, yeah.
These home videos give
hell?
investigators an unprecedented look into the
fucking
life
weirdo.
of a violent drifter.
Yeah, he's just a real red, and he has that Irish confirmation also. Okay, come on, honey. Let's get. Good boy. Now you got to stay out here. Okay, now we're going to get ready after he's greeted, and we'll be all happy. You got to stay right here, Wawa. You do.
The police will soon discover much darker recordings
Wawa?
on memory
Who the
sticks.
fuck calls their
For now,
dog
they
that?
charge Gary Hilton with kidnapping in the Meredith Emerson
Look at this
case.
ugly
It
motherfucker.
remains to be seen if additional charges will follow. As police transport Hilton to the Union County Jail in Georgia, his attitude has improved, but his willingness to answer questions about Meredith's whereabouts has not.
You guys are pissed at me, so hey, I ain't... You get the cops pissed off, man. You must be bad.
All right, now you ain't gonna do nothing squirrely on
Oh,
us, right?
yeah, like I can with you. Sure. He's sitting there with one gun in the holster and the other in his seat. I mean, Jesus Christ. He's gonna turn around and cap me. I am okay? Totally. I was trying to figure out who I was gonna give my dog to before I turned myself in. I saw the paper. I caught the paper.
You're going to turn yourself in.
I saw the paper. I saw that. I saw I was on the front page of the paper. You know.
It didn't seem like you were going to turn yourself in.
Well, hey, you know something? I'm making statements, and I ain't making no statements.
But Hilton's position on answering questions will soon shift, and agents with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation will finally get a deep look into one of the most sinister minds they've ever come in contact with. In hours of interviews, they'll begin to piece together what happened to Meredith that day on Blood Mountain, and what they hear from Gary Hilton changes everything.
Since I was 4 years old, my earliest thoughts were of death. I said, you know something, no one's even missed you. And she said, boy, I'd be mad if once you let me go, and I came back, and my boyfriend said, have you been gone? I spent 3 days with her. We had long talks about everything. I gave her a book to read. It was kind of like the Lone Ranger. And the Lone Ranger would come galloping into town. They would always say,
Who was that masked man?
yeah, who was that masked man? Okay, that's what I do to society.
Hilton admits that some of what is driving him to talk is the kidnapping
Okay.
charge, which he believes will likely put him away for the rest of his life.
They had me on the kidnapping, and it was going to stick. The evidence was good. Right out of the dumpster. It was just a smoking gun. They had me.
The investigators take a low-pressure approach to the interviews, which gives Hilton all the room he needs to expand on every topic he can think of, including his history of conflicts with the other dog owners he meets while hiking.
The average dog owner doesn't know jack about dogs. The average animal control officer doesn't know jack about dogs. They anthropomorphize. That means assigning human qualities to something. Anthropomorphic. Okay? And they assign human qualities to dogs. And what that means is that they want dogs to be like humans, which is be nice and get along. Well, that's not the way it is in the dog world. Because when dogs talk to each other, you know, they quite often revert back to the wolf world. And the wolf world is more incredibly savage and brutal than you can ever imagine. Humans don't understand that in the dog world, or
What's
the
he
wolf
on
world,
about?
there are no assault and battery laws. There are no murder laws. And quite often, there is no fear. Okay, imagine such a world. where there's no murder laws.
Before Hilton can go too deeply into his fantasy of a world without laws, he explains how to handle confrontations with dogs and their owners.
My goal in a stick fight with a human or a dog is not to make contact with the dog. A successful stick fight is preventative. To me, is shaping it with a stick and not making contact. Because it takes it to a whole other level when you make, especially with a human being. You hit a human being with a stick, regardless of the situation, it's probably going to ruin your day, buddy. And it may not go your way either, even though it always has. I've had the police call on me 30 times at least, and no exaggeration, in 17 years.
Hilton's history with the police
Yeah,
is
that's a
well
problem,
documented,
buddy. What the fuck
and
is he
not all of
talking
it
about?
concerns other dogs. He has a history of theft, telephone fraud, arson, and was even accused at one point of attempting to murder his own stepfather. His conflicts with the law haven't settled in recent years. as
Just goes
demonstrated
around
by
challenging
police
people to
dash
stick
cams and his
fights.
own home videos.
What do you have on your hands there?
Don't ask me, man. He's about to take off. Sir? Okay, look. I've been nothing but respectful for you, but if you're gonna continue to create a problem, we can take it to the next level.
Yeah, run away, bitch.
You're the lawman, you are the law. I'm going to check it out, and if it ain't the law and you're wrong,
You come talk to me.
I'm not talking to nobody. I'm filing and I'm suing because
Go
you're
right ahead.
interrupting my work.
Go right ahead.
But it's one particular encounter with the cops that catches the public's attention after his arrest.
You bumped into a Cherokee County deputy up on some private hunting property back in, I guess it was October or something, and that was widely publicized.
I've got maps of the area, and I was headed to Cohutta, going from Lawrenceville, but I'm out of Chambly.
Okay.
And I camped out here 20 years ago. I can show you. I got a WMA map right now.
You may have 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It probably was okay.
When the footage comes out, cops working the Cheryl Dunlap case notice the cap Hilton is wearing. It bears a striking resemblance to the one in the ATM footage from Leon County.
You know, I just wanted a place to camp because I'm on my way to Cohutta. I'm leaving. As a matter of fact, I'm getting my maps together. I got to buy some maps right now.
Did you hear, did he get on tape my joke about deer hunters?
Yeah.
What's the 3 reasons the deer hunter goes into? Yeah. I made that up. I'm a comedian, too.
But I have a little joke about these southern outdoorsmen. They come out in the woods for 3 reasons. One is to get drunk. The other is to poach, and the other is to change the oil in their truck. I'm sorry. I just stopped it.
But though Hilton has suspicious items in his possession,
Oh, I do have an expanding con ring right there. Don't get nervous. I won't get out of the truck without it, man.
the deputy lets him go on his way, unaware that he's releasing a vicious predator back into the wild.
Is it almost like
yeah, but how would he
a little
know?
acting on your behalf to, I don't know, kind of steer this law enforcement officer away from you, or?
Well, with him, no. I was being perfectly candid with him.
Hilton says that certain police officers will immediately recognize when they're dealing with a pro.
You and I were talking earlier, and you described yourself as a pro. And I mean, in talking about that, I, as a police officer, when you and I encounter one another, I'm going to know you're not. And I know what you mean, but how do you define that? As far as how are you a pro?
I'm a pro in that I'm not just styling. You see, the average civilian, their entire life is a style. Nothing is real. They're talking the talk and they're not walking the walk. And they're styling. And that's why you see posers. That's my word. Perfectly precious posers. That's what yuppies are.
Hey, I love you. Mr. Hilton, you take care. Be safe.
There's a large number of police officers that are highly
This dude's a
experienced,
narcissist to the next level.
and that they are pros, and they recognize a pro when they see a pro.
Oh my dude, I hate being
This wouldn't be
sunburned.
the last time Hilton would manage to keep his true nature hidden from law enforcement in the closing months of 2007. On November 17th, only 2 weeks before Cheryl Dunlap went missing, a Forest Service ranger spoke to him near a campsite in Leon County.
From what he told me, he was returning to his campsite, and he was walking along the road. He had a dog and a walking stick.
The ranger runs the tag on his white Chevy Astro parked back at the campsite.
Who did the van come back to?
It came back to Gary Michael Hilton.
It will soon come to light that Hilton already had blood on his hands before speaking to these officers. Nonetheless, he's in custody now, and then a series of audio and video interviews with the GBI, he will finally reveal the full story behind what happened New Year's Day on Blood Mountain.
But anyway, it's a good place to hunt in that you have a huge selection. But it's a bad place to hunt in that you...
Because they have a lot of people.
People. So the way you would do it...
Witnesses.
So the way you would do it would be to lurk in a blind, so to speak, off the trail, observe with binoculars, and lurk. But I didn't do that either because I like to hike.
What I'd like to know is how accomplished of a hiker are you?
Oh.
I mean, you've been to.
But I'm going to tell you something. I want to tell you something. I've never met anyone ever, and people are full of on this too. But I've never met anyone anywhere, any way that has the time in the woods and the time on the trail that I have. I've never worked full time anyway in my life, except for the U.S. Army.
Hilton was enlisted in the Army as a young man before being discharged for demonstrating symptoms of psychosis, an early glimpse of the darkness to come.
Really?
Did you know Meredith Emerson before the other day?
Surprising. What you doing, kitty?
Okay. At what time or when did you first become aware of her, or when did you first see her?
On the mountain, at the intersection of the Herbert Reef Connector Trail and the AT, at that intersection.
How did you strike up a conversation with her or whatever?
Dogs, you know, people that have dogs, dogs are going to meet. And anytime I encounter someone with a loose dog specifically, which both of ours were, a larger dog, I immediately determine the sex of the dog because I have a male, and I don't allow my dog to meet adult males.
So you asked her what sex her dog was?
Or, yeah, that kind of thing. And she stopped at that location to eat and eat some trail mix and to give her dog water.
After a brief exchange, the two continued hiking, and the 24-year-old athlete quickly put distance between herself and Hilton. But soon enough, Meredith would come back down the trail, and this time, Hilton would be ready.
Did you form an opinion at that point, or did you form an idea at that point that you wanted to abduct her at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was driven really by nothing but, well, the desire to obtain her card.
That was the sole purpose? You wanted her card?
And rather than pick a guy or a couple with a guy who might really fight, you know, because if you want a card and PIN number and the guy fights and you got to kill him, well, where are you at, you know? So I felt I knew it would be easier to establish control over a female, any female, than it would a male. It's not that I couldn't whip a male, but once you whip him, you might be left holding an empty bag.
Hilton's aside about his ability to take on a man is perhaps unsurprising given his many thoughts about masculinity and the differences between the genders.
But that's what a woman wants you to do as an adult, is to play house, okay, and to have children. How many 9-year-old boys, now, don't get me wrong, I understand that for many men, having children is the greatest thing in their life, but nevertheless, how many 9-year-old boys have you known that have said, oh, you know, I don't want to be a soldier or a pilot or astronaut, I want to grow up and have a family. You ain't look at any man's home. It ain't a man's home. It's a woman's home. And what is this man thing? Having a nice lawn. Oh, Jesus Christ, give me a break. Out there cutting grass and digging in the dirt like an animal.
According to Gary, it all comes down to an imbalance of power.
Part of my dislike, or I wouldn't call it hatred, but almost, for women is that they have all the advantages. And if that's how they get men to do what they want them to do.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Well, he's not wrong
Either
about that.
You do what I want, or in the end, I'm going to give it to someone else.
You ain't getting no pussy.
To threaten to give it away. And for them to let you know that they could give it away, and they have given it away, increases the value of it. However, it's
marketing.
But a sophisticated woman understands that to threaten to give it away increases the value, and actually giving it away to someone else decreases the value. And some women aren't smart enough to know the difference, and they up that way.
It's not just Gary's thoughts on women that cast doubt on his narrative that he only confronted Meredith for her bank cards. It's also the fact that no money has been withdrawn from her account. But as the investigators soon learn, Meredith Emerson is not a woman to be trifled with.
The act occurred, the demand occurred at the point where the water bottles and batons were found in relation to dog treat. That's where the demand occurred.
Okay, and by demand, what do you say? What did you say?
Guards and VIN number.
Okay, and when you did that, and when you said that, did you produce the baton, or
no.
what did you produce?
A knife, bayonet.
You
The bayonet is probably still up there. I lost control of both. She fought. And as I read in the paper, she's a martial artist. I read in the paper she practiced martial arts.
Okay.
And she fought. And she grabbed the knife.
Okay.
I lost control of the knife.
Okay.
And she grabbed the knife blade and slightly, very slightly cut her hand on the webbing between her thumb and forefinger. I was not aware of that until later on. And I said, "Where'd you get that cut at?" She said, "When I grabbed the knife."
Okay.
But she grabbed the knife and fought.
Okay.
And then I produced the baton.
Okay.
She fought that, and I lost control of the baton. And I'm good too. But this girl, I think it was you probably. One of the GBIs said that little 120-pound girl about probably close to whip your. Well, she about did.
But Gary can't admit that he was in any real trouble, not to the investigators, and perhaps not even to himself.
It was not my finest hour.
Yeah, so, I
It
mean,
was
dude,
not my-
if you're a woman, like,
I'm
chances
better
of fighting a
than that.
dude
I
are
am, but
always going to be
I found
slim.
out she was a black belt, too, which don't mean, again, they're styling these black belts. They're styling. They're not fighters. They're learning to do some little, but on the other hand, doing that kind of thing does increase your coordination, your hand-eye, etc., and it gets you more used to hand-to-hand combat as opposed to an untrained person, even though they're not really fighters. And she didn't do no. It's just that she was real quick with her hands and had no hesitation about grabbing weapons and everything. And not only that, she was hard to subdue. Fought like hell, man. Fought and fought and fought and fought. And then once I gained control over her and got her 10 to 15 feet away from the trail on that little side trail I told you about, she started fighting again.
But what Gary characterizes as a fight sounds more like a merciless beating.
I had to hand fight her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I got this hand. I probably have multiple fractures in my right hand now.
Okay.
However, I'm not in pain, and I don't think any of them are displaced. I had to hand fight her, and I still couldn't get control of her. She would feign or pretend that I was in control and then start fighting again.
Right.
So I had to hit her a number of times.
Now you hit her every time with your right hand, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are straight in punches.
In the face, or?
Yeah, or the head.
Okay.
As to what extent she was injured, her two eyes were somewhat blackened. She may or may not have a fractured nose. I checked with her a number of times, and she was not in any pain other than, afterwards, she was not in any pain other than a headache. I offered her and gave her aspirin.
Hilton tells the investigators that once they were
What a
safely
nice
off the
guy.
trail, he was able to finally subdue her.
So I got control of her again, quieted her down, got control of her again, and I kept her moving down that close trail around the corner of the mountain, so to speak. And at that point, I produced it's like a duck tie. It's like handcuffs that police use.
Zip tie?
Zip tie, yeah, except these were just commercial zip ties, 18-inch zip ties.
You remember what color they were?
Yeah, black. They're not there anymore. You'll probably find them in the dumpster, I believe, probably.
Yeah. Did you have a rubber band around them?
Yeah.
Okay, we did find one up there.
I don't know. Oh, you did? So I zip tied her to a tree, and I knew that I had to go and clean the crime scene.
Hilton's use of zip ties and Meredith's abduction draws another connection to the Cheryl Dunlap case. Investigators searching several of Hilton's Leon County campsites find a number of items he left behind, and zip ties are prominently among them. But it's something else that Hilton leaves on Blood Mountain that will make the connection undeniable.
Told her to be quiet and stay.
Okay.
And went back to clean the crime scene, but it had already been found.
Okay, by that time it had already been found?
I saw there were three hikers that had found the things, and they were no longer there.
Okay.
And they were headed down slope, and they were looking.
Were you crouching behind a rock at that point?
Looking at them.
Then looking at them, and then I laid down flat in the trail above them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a trail is cut in, into a slope and someone's below, if you lay in the flat, you're deflated or inflated, so to speak. And I laid down in the trail.
This fucking guy is so cringe.
And the stuff was gone.
Among the items Hilton lost on the mountain were his expanding police baton, Meredith's leash and water bottles, and the dagger-like knife he calls a bayonet. When investigators with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement compare the blade of the bayonet to the hole in Cheryl Dunlap's tire, any doubt is put to rest. It's an exact match.
If I'd been back to the crime scene just a few minutes sooner, just several minutes sooner, I would have beat those people that found the bat, and I would have picked it up. But as it was, I had to fight her twice, bring her all the way around the corner of the mountain, and then secure her to a tree, in spite of her protestations, and then go back for it. So she caught me fair and square. Yeah.
Now, one thing I didn't ask you about this, since you're on that point, one thing I didn't ask you about, did you have to put something to keep her quiet, a gag, so to speak, or anything like that?
No.
Was she unconscious at that point?
Never.
Well, I'm wondering why she wasn't yelling when you zip tied her to a tree, and when you went back to clean the crime scene. Is what I'm getting at.
There comes a point they fight, and then they submit.
Right.
And a lot of it is because of me.
Right.
I reassure them. That it's going to be okay, but just quit fighting or you're going to get hurt. I tell them, listen, honey, I'm going to spend life in prison just because you said no.
Gary has a great many ideas about how a victim should behave under Meredith's circumstances.
But the advice to people if they're abducted is to engage your abductor and to make yourself a person to them and not have them think of you as an object. To engage them, to tell them your name, to tell them about yourself, tell them about your family, tell them about tell your abductor that, tell them what you study, what your dreams and hopes and plans and schemes are, and try to engage them and make yourself a person rather than an object, because the abductor is psychopathic. He's looking at you in a human way. You want to make yourself a human. No. It was always me. It was always
Well, he probably
me,
learned that in the military. I mean, most people have no idea how to do that. That's something they teach you in, like, survival school, or I think it's called SEER school in the military.
And talk to them. It calms them down. But none of them ever did that to me.
Hilton tells the investigators that he would act much differently if put in that position.
She never once told me, hey, my name is Meredith. I mean, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be pitching a guy like hell. They don't even pitch me. Like, really, I won't say a word, just, I'd be saying, hey, listen, no sweat, listen, I'll tell them you had me blindfolded all the time. I didn't even see nothing. I don't know a thing. I have no grip. Hey, I'm not even going to report this. Hey, just cut me loose, cut me loose as soon as you can. If I can get back for big alarms raised, I'll never even report. I'd be pitching the whole damn time.
Meredith, who wasn't fortunate enough to have Hilton's instructions on how to be a victim, is subdued by other means.
What did you do at that point?
Went back to her and cut her loose. And she was not tied at all, except I put a loop around her neck.
Oh, what kind of loop?
Just a nylon cord, 300-pound test. Just wasn't even tied. It was like a loop. I put a loop line around her neck, and just like a leash, like a dog's leash, and that's the only way she was secured. Okay. And I told her that I had a gun, and that I was going to shoot her. Now, I didn't have a gun, but I had a BB pistol that looked like a gun, and I was going to shoot her down if she took off running or something. Because you got to do that, because most girls could probably outrun me. Not that fast. And after that, from then on, she totally cooperated. We traversed the Blood Mountain through the stick stuff, down through the drainage, up, and everything. She was totally cooperative with me and everything.
Let me ask you this. At this point, was her hands free?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't have those zip tied? You just had the noose.
Yes, and I told her I had a pistol, which I did, but
Okay.
I told her I had a firearm, and that I would shoot her. By that time, and from that time on, she was compliant, totally compliant, and I was solicitous of her behavior, of her
Motherfucker's got
condition,
KY?
and
What?
Of her comfort from then on also.
Okay.
My intent was not to.
Just that, dude. I mean, yeah, this dude's fucking weird. Look at that toothbrush. Ugh.
And I was solicitous of her behavior, of her condition, and of her comfort from then on also.
Okay.
My intent was not to torture.
Hilton says that he took Meredith down the mountain before tying her to another tree and again making what he calls the demand.
I told her, well, I was going to have to get her cards and PIN number out of the car, which was in her purse, under the seat.
Let me back up. Did she tell you where her purse and pin or cards were?
Yeah.
Okay. And she told you where her cards were at that point, or?
Yeah. She told me incorrectly, but it was just under the wrong seat. She said under the driver's seat. It was actually under the passenger seat.
Okay.
Hilton says he approached the parking lot cautiously, knowing there was a chance that the hikers above had called the police. When he arrives, however, the coast is clear, and he moves his van next to her car.
So I walked her up next to her car, opened the side door of my van, and put her in my van. And then took a chain, put her in my van and laid her down. And I had 2 lengths of chain padlocked to the seat mounting, the front seat mountings. One chain padlock, in other words, the seat mount, you know, where the seat is attached to the car. Both of those chains were padlocked by one end to the seat mounting.
What did she say to you? Did she say anything at that point?
She said, they told me not to get in the van, not getting in the, or in a vehicle or so. I said, get in. So she did. And then I determined from her where her purse was, which was under the passenger rather than the driver's side.
Okay. Did you have to force her into the van, or did she cooperate at that point?
No, she protested, but
I mean,
yeah, no, she was compliant from, you know, I didn't, there was no physical force at any time after that.
Okay.
After that, up on the mountain.
Oh, okay. So she protested and said,
they told me not to get in a vehicle. I said, get in the damn thing.
And she went in. Okay.
Gary says that after Meredith was secured by chains in his van, he put her dog Ella in her car before heading to nearby Blairsville with the intention of finding an ATM. But soon, Gary says he had a change of heart.
Got several miles away as we were driving away, and she's still voicing concern about her dog. I wanted her to be calm and, you know, could be, and I knew she was anxious about her dog. So I said, well, do you want me to go back and get your dog? She said yes. So I turned around, went back, and got her dog.
Of all the details Gary has given thus far, this act of kindness is perhaps the hardest to believe, and yet the investigators know that it must be at least partially true, because Ella was finally found in Cumming, nearly 50 miles south of Blood Mountain. Then again, Gary appears to have a compassion for dogs that doesn't extend to humans.
People are enculturated and programmed to only believe that life is valid if they're doing it with others. So the problem with these poor loners, these sociopaths, is they're so programmed like that in spite of themselves, they don't know themselves. They don't understand that there's no hope for them. They don't understand that they're a round peg in a square hole and that they're never going to fit in. They don't understand that there's no way in the world that they are going to get real satisfaction out of a human relationship. I didn't understand myself until 21, actually when I got a dog. And all of a sudden I was no longer alone, and I didn't have that wrenching sense of loneliness and being alone, but yet there would be no salvation in the company of others. You're alone, your life is empty, alone, lonely, but there's no salvation or satisfaction in the company of others. It's a terrible, I see many, those are the worst kind of people. They're tragically unhappy.
Of course, Gary's thoughts on the errors of humanity go well beyond sociopaths like himself.
I mean, that's why you talk to a therapist or something, man. I mean, You just gotta find people you get along with, dude. There's so many of them, bro. This is like such a warped view of reality. Dude's fucking insane.
And there's a psychiatric school of thought that says existential anxiety is responsible for most of human neurosis. Yeah. Because we're the only...
That bothered you back then?
Since I was 4 years old, my earliest thoughts were of death and that I was going to die.
Really?
When I was 4 years old, I could place it because of the situation I was in when I thought it. And when I was 4 years old, I can remember looking at my hand and pondering the fact that this hand one day will be a skeleton. Yeah, when I was 4 years old.
What was the situation, if you don't mind my asking?
No, it was an intellectual thought. It was the awareness of my future non-being.
Okay.
The humans are the only animal that I know of that really has to cope with it, although it's really hard to tell. But it's a tremendous psychic load. It's the knowledge of our future non-being or of the inevitability of our death is the thing that shapes our entire life.
Rather than lure Hilton back to the point, the investigators appeal to his ego.
All your travels and camping and stuff, you get by yourself, you get a lot of time to think and
that's the thing. People
gain a lot of insight, don't they?
Lawyers and everyone else ask me constantly, how come you're so seemingly intelligent? Are you well-read? Are you well-educated? You're right. You hit it right on the head. That's very perceptive of you. The reason I'm so seemingly intelligent is that I, alone amongst almost anyone, including you dudes, have time to actually stop and think about things. You don't have time to stop and think about things. You are so busy distracting yourself because you're running from really the reality of this situation, which is you're going to die. And you are so busy just frantically, desperately distracting yourself with every kind of thing in the world, including your work. Now again, I'm not judging you. I mean, you're just human beings. That's all you are. You're just human beings, and God bless you.
Gary says that his time in the woods has given shape to his character.
You got time to think. That's one of my personalities. I'm a philosopher, I'm a soldier, I'm a scientist, and I'm an artist. And those are all distinct personality types that represent distinctly different things. And I'm all of them.
What's your artistic side? What do you mean by artist?
Well, by artist, I mean truly in the sense of being an artist, in that you see everything in terms of not the linear, but the impression of it, and so forth. And as far as the medium goes, I'm an artist that people ask me, I tell them I'm an artist, and they say, well, what's your medium? Are you a sculptor or a drawer? No, my art is my life, and my art is weird. No. Laugh!
No.
I'm an artist. My art is my life, and my art is weird.
I'm actually buying into this.
Of course, it's true. It's all true. When it's true, it's real. Everything I'm telling you is true. Everything I'm telling you is real. It exists. It's true.
Hilton tells them that he even made the decision to yank some of his teeth out for the purpose of his art, and of course, to stand out even more from the rest of society.
They're grinning idiots. I call it a dental display, is what I call it. It's like chimpanzees and other apes, they do a genital display. You ever see a chimpanzee in a zoo look like that? That's a genital display. Well, they do a dental display. That's why I love my teeth. These are both artistic, philosophical statements, and they're practical, too. If someone with me, I'll go, you're pretty. Like that. It scares out of any damn deal, but they know I'm for real. I ain't no yuppie. See, I ain't posing. I got my fighting teeth in. And I present this fantastical spectacle to people, but I understand. They can't understand it because it's so fantastical. It's kind of like the Lone Ranger. And the Lone Ranger would come galloping into town. There would be all the schmuck townspeople, right? And here the Lone Ranger would be wearing this mask, a skin-tight outfit, a really elaborate two-gun rig mounted with silver with chrome pistols, and just a theatrical outfit. He'd be mounted on this beautiful Palomino. He'd have this trippy Indian named Tonto with him. You know what I'm talking about? And if the Lone Ranger would ride out again, what would they always say about the Lone Ranger? You don't remember, but not. They would always say,
Who was that masked man?
Yeah, who was that masked man? Okay, that's what I do to society.
Though many of his home videos show Gary alone with Dandy, some of them do show him interacting with others, such as this Papa John's manager who seemed less than impressed with Hilton's version of the mysterious stranger.
You tell these guys to quit terror driving. You tell them not to drive more than 5 miles an hour above the limit. You tell them to keep at least a vehicle length, at least, and it should be one vehicle for every 10 miles an hour.
If this is Hilton affecting society at large like the Lone Ranger, one can only imagine the impression he made on Meredith Emerson. But while the 24-year-old may have no longer physically resisted Hilton after...
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, man. You find someone who talks about themselves like this, like, bro, stay the fuck away from them. Don't trust them. I've known people like this. They are fucked in the head. And because, like, I mean, they're actually, like, pretty smart, but, dude, they're fucking psychos.
Blood
fucking
Mountain,
psychos.
She wasn't done fighting him.
I was saying that when it comes to individual human beings, the answer is really simple. I simplify groups of human beings, and you really have to, actually, to preserve your scalp, for that matter. You have to make broad
Yeah, you've done a good job of that, buddy.
Of human beings, but always understanding that individual human beings, the answer is really simple. It rarely is.
The individual Hilton abducted on that mountain still has some surprises in store. And when Hilton prepares to drain Meredith's bank account like he did Cheryl's, he realizes it won't be quite so easy.
Went to the Appalachian Bank, attempted to run the cards.
And they didn't work?
Didn't work. I parked across the street.
How many cards did you use?
I had 3, but I'm really not sure because she had me run them so many times that I'm not. You know, she had me run them in Blairsville, then I went to Gainesville, then I went to Canton.
Well, let's
tried multiple times. Right. Card wouldn't work. It was either invalid or unauthorized, one or the other. So I came back, went back to the van. I said, honey, I'll go. She danced me around with 2 more PIN numbers. Well, I think I did this, or I just changed it over, and I'm not sure, and this and that, and I changed it, and blah, 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 blah. Go try it again. It'll work. This number, give me another 2 numbers. Not working, huh? You might as well just give it up. I don't know what the purpose of this, etc.
Meredith convinces Hilton that he may need to try at another bank.
4 or 5 times she kept trying to convince you that it would work. That
she did convince me.
Right.
She ran me back. I'd go try it like an idiot. I'm, like some eternal optimist. I had to go out of the van, walk the 100 yards.
Yeah, you seem like an optimist, bud.
Run it, come back. She'd give me some other story,
right.
Or another card.
Right.
I got 3 of them to work with. Right. I don't know why the reason for all this was. I told her later, I said, I'm not even going to ask you why. It's just that I'll never understand what the purpose of you've been doing this for.
It may be that Meredith's strategy was twofold. 1, as long as he didn't have access to her accounts, her life remained valuable to Hilton. 2, every failed ATM transaction left a digital footprint, potentially giving police a direct line to their location.
That's true.
Did you attempt to conceal your face in any way when you used it?
Yes, I did conceal my face.
How did you conceal your face?
Held a towel over my face.
It's another chilling echo to the Cheryl Dunlap case in Florida. The only question is whether Meredith's resistance would allow her to escape Cheryl's grisly fate.
So when you left the bank attempts down in Gainesville, which way did you go?
Back to Dahlonega.
Okay.
Now it's too late, and I've had it. I'm like in the shape I am now. With the MS, some days I can't get out of bed, and then some days I'm good for a few hours, and my time was up. Okay. As far as being able to function or even think. And I started north with the object of getting a campsite somewhere.
Gary says they found a place to camp that first night in Dahlonega, Georgia, but not before a close call nearly put a quick end to his plans.
Okay. And the smoke was coming in at higher elevations, and it was accumulating rapidly. And there was probably 2 inches on the ground, on the road, very quickly. And I was losing traction and control. And then I came around a curve, and the car had sort of slid off the road, and there was a sheriff's deputy there, car with his blue light, and turned around and went back down just right past the sheriff's deputy again.
Okay.
She saw the blue light and everything, but and was only loosely secured.
Having eluded law enforcement, Hilton made camp with his hostage.
Camp there, I gave her the best bag. I gave her the mattress that didn't leak. I got a +5-degree bag. I had 5 bags with me, but you know, each dog got a bag. Each dog got a 20-degree bag.
Where did you camp? In the van or out?
Yeah. She helped me offload the van. Okay. I just unchanged. She was free after. She was only secured while we were moving. She was not tied up. And while we were asleep, I would tie a long length of nylon cord around her ankles, quadruple knotted, and then quadruple knotted at an anchor point in the van. That was simply to keep her from jumping up and taking off while I was asleep.
Now, I got to ask you this. Was there any sexual activity between you two?
No.
And keep in mind now, we will be able to find out, but I'm asking you now if it's accurate or not. Was there any sexual activity between the two of you?
Yeah.
There was?
Yes, one time, first night. I told her, honey, it wasn't forcible, but of course it was unwanted. So right. But it wasn't forcible.
Okay.
And I told her, honey, I told you I was going to let you go. You've run me around. You've run me all over North Georgia. Maybe put 150 miles on my van. We still don't. You've lied to me. Give me some. Okay. And she did.
Hilton says that despite being abducted, beaten, and violated, Meredith was enjoying herself.
She's not having a bad time.
Right.
And she's been kidnapped. She wasn't in mental distress other than any kind of real. So this. I was solicitous of her comfort and everything else.
It's hard to know if this is delusion talking or simply another reflection of Hilton's disdain for women.
I mean, the last piece of I had, except for here, was in '89. Was in January of '89, and I never.
You kind of dropped out of the game there.
I was never so happy after I did that. Oh yeah. Well, once you stop getting led around by the, and we all are, all of us are. That's right. That's right. That's why we become less than men. That's why we start doing a woman's agenda. Oh, I'm going to tell you something. You take it from me.
Really?
No, you know what you're being fooled by? You're all being fooled. You're being fooled by a woman's instinct, not her free will. Her instinct is that of nurturing. That's because instinctually she raises the kids. And you're being fooled by her nurturing instinct, and she has a soft spot for kids and small furry animals. But I'm going to tell you something. You take it to the bank, pal, and you take it from a guy that begged professionally for over 20 years. The sex that is the most avaricious, accumulative, greedy, and heartless is women.
Hilton seems to detect no irony, delivering this sermon on women before returning to the story of how he kidnapped one.
I determined the next day that I would go to Canton. And one reason I headed in that direction is that I had a person I knew that I thought, plan B would be to try to get some money from her. She was in that direction. I don't have any money. I had $45 on me and spent $30 of my last $45 on gas. So I had no gas, no money. But anyway, that's one reason I headed in Canton. So I could go on to Cartersville if necessary and try to get some money.
Who is this person that you're going to get money from?
The person I was calling from the gas station were in Cumming where the clothes were found. That's the call I was making. She refused me and hung up.
With Meredith thwarting his attempts to steal from her, Hilton says he reached out to a man he used to work for.
Let me ask you this. I know that you made a phone call from Marble Hill also. At one point.
You mean from a huddle house?
Right.
That was to my employer, John Tabor, to get to beg my old job back.
Right.
By the time Hilton called Tabor, early descriptions of the man seen with Meredith on Blood Mountain were already circulating through the media. Tabor not only identifies Hilton to the police, he tells Hilton he'll leave a check for him at his office. Police stake out the location, but Hilton never shows.
We all, even guys like myself that are just totally sociopathic, we still need some human to trust.
Right.
Even if we're not close to them.
Right.
To trust them, even if it's a business associate. I called Tabor up and I told him I needed money and I wanted to start working again for him. And I was really sincere in trying to start work again for him because I saw that this Robert wasn't getting it because I hadn't gotten any money off her. You know, I had gotten a dime. I had spent money on her. I had $45 to my name, and I'd done spent $30 of it driving all over North Georgia trying to work her ATM card on the bogus number she gave me. I'd lost money on that deal. If Tabor had have said, instead of trying to entrap me, I mean, what's the use of that? I mean, really. Because if they knew who I am, they're going to catch me anyway. It's just, if Tabor had said, hey, Gary, they know it's you. Yeah, they know it's you. They're onto you. They're looking for you now. Because I wasn't in the paper that day. I joked about it with a girl. This is the second day or third day I'd had her, second or third day I'd had her, and she still wasn't in the paper. I said, you know something, no one's even missed you. And she said, boy, I'd be mad if once you let me go, and I came back and my boyfriend said, have you been gone? She said, we were laughing about it because nothing had appeared in the paper.
Hilton manages to avoid the trap Tabor and police set for him, and at least according to him, spent a pleasant day with his victim out in the woods.
Went to Dawson Forest and camped there, and you know, I think we spent 2 nights there because we went hiking the next day. Yeah, we went hiking, yeah. We spent 2 days, 2 nights there. And we were 11 degrees outside air temperature there, so I had stoves going. I have, you know, stoves to use as a heater. Mm-hmm. And I had the van going from time to time. Mm-hmm. And keep warm. And we spent 2 nights there because we went hiking one day, the next day. We took both dogs and went hiking along Shoals Creek.
Okay.
We had a good time.
Okay. How did you keep her from running off while you were hiking?
No, I told her, remember 2 things. One, if you bust out through the woods, the pursuer has the advantage. Because the pursued has to break brush. If you bust out running down the road or anywhere else, I'll shoot you now. And I'm a good shot, left or right-handed, because my right hand was up, which I am. And, no, that was it. So she was not having a bad time at all and enjoying herself.
Oh, yeah, she didn't have a bad time, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You only had to threaten to kill her to keep her there.
We hiked for several hours along Shoal Creek.
Again, Hilton is insistent that Meredith was enjoying her time as the victim of a violent kidnapping.
Exactly.
A story that doesn't gain believability the more he repeats it.
Exactly.
And his intention is to convince the agents that he has a heart underneath the cruelty. The conclusion to his story erases that possibility.
And then the next day, we got up and told her she was going home. I said, I'm giving you all your stuff back. I had all her stuff backed up together. I made a point of showing her as she always helped me load and unload, especially because my hand was messed up. And so in other words, consistent with being kidnapped, she was having a good time, other than, you know what I mean. I won't say she's enjoying it, but she was.
Well,
hey, she was into it. It was an experience. She was at ease, totally at ease, relaxed.
Let me ask you this: did you guys leave the site you were camping at that point?
No. We're packing up and telling her I'm taking her and I'm going to release her.
Mm-hmm.
Hilton says they left the campsite together, but soon he pulled the van over in another area of Dawson Forest. In between, he says, there was another close call.
And there was a pickup there, and as he drove by, I waved at him. It was law enforcement.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. It was that close. It was that close. She wasn't even secured either.
Having once again caught a lucky break, Hilton took Meredith to a secluded spot.
Walked her into the woods, got 2 sleeping bags. I got in there, I got a mattress for her to sit on, 2 bags to put over her, a length of chain, secured it to a tree, walked back to the van. I'm staggering around by now. You know, I'm had it. I can't even think straight. I'm just staggering, you know. I have multiple sclerosis. I'm just staggering. Went, kind of got myself together, made some coffee and everything, walked back. And at that point she said, I was afraid you weren't coming back. I said, glad to see me. And she said, I was afraid you weren't coming back. I gave her a book to read and everything else there.
But he grabbed something else when he was back at his van, an iron bar. At long last, Hilton reveals the horrifying truth. A truth police suspected from the moment they found the bloody clothes in that gas station dumpster.
And I walked up and made as if to unsecure the chain, struck her with the bar.
What bar?
It was a jack handle, just a straight jack handle, the solid iron bar. Struck her with that. She said, no, let me go. Put her hands up. I kept striking her. You'll see some defensive wounds to her hand.
Okay.
She lost consciousness, and I kept striking her till ensure she was dead.
Hilton says that Meredith had to die to ensure his freedom.
Once you've taken someone, you're either going to kill them or you're going to get caught. It's as simple as that. In my situation, look at me. I got the dog, I got the van. I'm me. I'm famous anyway, regardless. And I knew it. Once you've taken someone, you either kill them or you get caught. If you release them, you're going to get caught. I mean, am I right or not? If I would have been sure.
It's math, right?
Well, she's seen the van, she's seen the tag, she's seen the dog, she's seen, all she has to do, they have to put that out, and 10,000 people will be called, including Tabor. He was just the first one, you know. Of course I knew it. You either kill them or you get caught. Of course, I was able to do it because of my general rage against society, of course.
Hilton's rage is evident as he describes what he did next.
Removed her head.
Remove the head.
With a serrated knife, which you probably have in the dumpster, I think.
A serrated knife?
Yeah, like a butcher knife or a kitchen knife, a long.
And that was in the dumpster as well. Was that? I mean, is that difficult to do, to take somebody's head off? I've never seen that done. I mean, is it? I'm not asking for my.
I understand,
right.
And it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem real looking back on it.
I can't imagine a kitchen knife being able to do that. Is what I'm
This
getting
is
at.
a knife with a blade this long.
Okay.
That's serrated, and so it's a saw.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's just sawing. All you got to do is keep sawing, 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 and then get through the joint. It's just like you would. That's what it's made for in the kitchen, to cut up meat.
Right.
Hilton says that his decision to cut Meredith's head off was purely practical.
The only reason, by the way, the head was removed was forensically.
Yeah, right.
In other words, the hair is full of fiber.
Sure.
I poured liquid bleach all over her to any DNA, and I knew bleach would not destroy fibers, but that any DNA she may have picked up from my clothes. She'd been wearing my clothes for now 3 days,
right,
or something, and she, you know, and so I poured liquid bleach over her, and again, this is not done to preclude identification or for any other reason other than at that time I didn't know that I'd even been associated with it. So and I felt, I knew the body would be found sooner or later. These bodies, a body in here sooner or later is going to come to light.
Okay.
It is. And this is not the first body that's been discarded.
Hilton's last remark seems to go unnoticed, but one could reasonably wonder if the image in his mind at that moment was that of Cheryl Dunlap, whose decapitated body was left in the woods, just like Meredith's.
Then I left, headed south to that gas station where I made the call to try to get some money. I'm down to, I think it was $18, something like that. I'm getting low on glass.
This was incoming?
Yeah, that gas station. I took her dog with me, and I found a location where I knew the dog would be okay. It's a bustling center.
Right.
And I knew that the dog would be picked up. And I also knew the dog was microchipped.
How'd you know that?
She told me. If I wanted to ensure that no one would associate the dog with her, I would have killed the dog.
Right.
But there's no way I could do that.
The investigators are left to wonder how it is that the serial murderer
me.
before them draws the line at the killing of a dog. But perhaps it's right in line with his life story. The ruthless wanderer with no regard for anyone other than his one trusted companion.
He's my boy. He's my baby.
Battery memory's probably gonna go any second. This is Tucker, yes, once more before we die. Totally Tucker. Yeah, me and the boy will run them this October. 92 almost daily. Yep, sure were. But we are having a good time.
Dandy ends up being adopted by Nancy from the public defender's office, who told Iwu that the dog picked up some disturbing habits in his travels with Hilton.
He would stalk people when we were walking. He would get behind a tree, for instance, and he would watch people. And I would tell him, we're not doing that. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that. Come on, we're not doing that anymore.
After letting Meredith's dog
That's
free and
crazy.
coming, Hilton realized that he was a wanted man.
If I had bought a paper that morning on Friday instead of that afternoon, she would have been alive. Because there they, my pictures on the front page, a color picture on the front page of the AJC, looking for me and everything. I wouldn't have killed her. I mean, for Pete's sake, no.
Hilton was arrested only a few hours later at the Chevron in DeKalb County. But while the manhunt was finished, the story was far from over.
Was this difficult for you at all to do this? As far as take her life, was it difficult at all? I mean, do you have feelings one way or the other about it, or were you just needed her for a necessity for you?
No, but it was like an out-of-body experience.
Okay.
It was surrealistic. Of course it's surrealistic.
Right.
Removing a head is just unreal.
Right.
Unreal.
I need some aloe vera.
And, you know,
oh my
you look
God.
back on it and you say, that wasn't even real. I don't know what it was. I was just in, you might say an altered state.
Okay.
I just don't know. It was hard.
Okay.
It was hard.
Okay.
It was hard. You got to remember, we had spent several good days together, actually.
Right.
Actually, she did not have a unpleasant time.
But Hilton says that he knew from the beginning how Meredith's story would end.
I'm going to tell you right now, there was never any plan to let her go.
Okay.
I knew that if I let her go, I would be instantly ID.
Once you've done it, you're either going to kill her or get caught. There's no other solution. It's not that, you know. And if that sounds cold and cruel, yeah, it was.
Hilton's confession is thorough, but it comes at a high price. They agree to take the death penalty off the table in exchange for Hilton's guilty plea, his full confession, and one final piece of information they need to bring closure to this horrific case.
What I'd like to do is let you now tell us where the body is and try to direct us to it the best you can, and because it's very important that we locate the body as soon as we can this evening.
Hilton points out the exact spot in Dawson Forest on a map, but says the investigators may have a difficult search ahead of them.
It's going to be a little hard to find. You're going to need a dog for this, I believe.
Can you help us?
Well, I'll help.
Okay.
It's uncomfortable for me to go there, though. I mean, but I understand. I'm going to help you.
Okay, buddy.
Hilton overcomes his discomfort and leads the investigators to Meredith's body, though they run into some minor complications on the drive.
That's not mediated. Oh, shit. Now, how in the hell are they down here?
Oh, man. Jesus Christ.
It's an indication of how much publicity this case has gotten, publicity that Hilton is only too aware of.
I'm infamous. You are? My God. I mean, I've read a little of the news that my lawyers brought me a little bit, but almost, I don't really want to read it. It's true to curl your hair, man. They don't understand that except for this rampage, I was the injured party. I kid you not. And all of society trying to get me in trouble. If they had their way, they would tell lies to the cop. The cop would arrest me and send me to the penitentiary, take my dog away, and ruin my life just because they don't want to be wrong. Okay? It's as simple as that. You talk about cruel and heartless, man. And you talk about, hey, kill. You start getting that thing, you just rage against society.
Hilton may be disgruntled with some of the coverage, but he also seems to take a certain pride in it, such as when he recounts how he handled the perp walk.
Did you see the way did you see it on TV? Oh yeah, running. I'm the one that wants to do that. You see, I was leading them. And they'll open that door, another one will open that door, and I'm the one that just dives in head first, So kind of like a Hollywood celebrity that's been bad and now trying to, you see what I mean? The more you limit it, the bigger demand it makes. Now, if I'd have come walking out like Eric Rudolph, they'd have said, well, he's a schmuck is all he is. But when I come, right, an idiot. But, when I come running out there and then dive into the car wearing the vest, it's a mystique.
The cops and the press gathered near Dawson Forest away, and Hilton takes the investigators to the exact location of Meredith's body, only to reveal that he placed her head and clothing in a separate area down the road.
Hi. As we walk, I'm going to ask you a couple more things, okay, if you don't mind. You said that there was one sexual encounter. Yeah. Was that the only one?
Yeah.
There wasn't anything post-mortem, right?
No.
Okay.
Meredith Emerson's autopsy reveals a wide range of serious injuries consistent with Hilton's story. In addition to post-mortem chemical burns from the bleach, the medical examiner finds contusions and several broken bones. It's determined that she died of massive crushing head injuries, having been struck at least 19 times with a blunt instrument. At the site of her body in Dawson Forest, Hilton is asked one last question.
This the first time you ever done anything like this before?
Hilton's lawyer advises him not to answer, but soon enough investigators will know the truth. Hilton's reign of terror didn't begin with Meredith Emerson or even with Cheryl Dunlap in Florida.
When did your rampage begin? Can I ask you that? I mean...
Yeah, it's hunting.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I started hunting in September.
A federal investigation will reveal that on October 21, 2007, a retired couple visiting Pisgah National Forest in North Carolina had the misfortune of running into Gary Hilton. In a recent interview, Hilton said that he spotted John and Irene Bryant as they got out of their car, accosted them, and demanded their credit cards. When John Bryant refused, Hilton says he beat him with his police baton and pepper sprayed him. Irene tried to then attack Hilton with her walking stick, and he knocked her to the ground with the baton as well, and ultimately murdered her right there in the forest. Her body was discovered a month later, but John's whereabouts remained a mystery for months.
My attorneys informed me this morning that they had found a body in North Carolina. They found a skull and a pelvis, and it's off of Old Murphy Road, and it's on a Forest Service road. And they found the body, so maybe he's no longer missing.
After kidnapping John Bryant and getting $300 out of his bank account, Hilton drove him to the Nantahala National Forest and shot him in the head.
One may say, well, you're the one that chose to make money by killing. There's other ways to make money. There's bank robbery and so forth. Well, you know, in retrospect, I regret not attempting a bank robbery. I really do. Because all of this shit got me nowhere but caught.
The authorities aren't able to precisely put
This
his death
motherfucker
on
would
an
not be able
exact
to rob a
date,
bank.
but it happened relatively quickly because Hilton was alone 5 days after the Bryants vanished when that Cherokee County deputy rolled up on the afternoon of October 26th.
What you doing out here?
Well, you're the fourth person that's come along.
Am I?
And ask me that. If there's deer hunters around there, I can be wearing a purple shirt, that red backpack, and they're going to tell me I'm going to get shot. But, you know, that's a common threat. They're very particular. I understand.
Well, can I get your ID real quick?
Yeah, you sure can. And it's in a, you see that fanny pack right there?
Yeah. Are there any weapons in that fanny pack?
Absolutely not, and I'm going to bring it to you.
Okay. I'll wait on. So are you a hiker or long distance camper or
Hiker.
hiker?
I love the laws, though. Hey, check it out, man. Do you need anything else there? Or?
No, I'm just gonna run this. Make sure nobody wants you, and then probably just tell you to get your stuff and get out of here.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm just.
What you want? If you want to finish packing up, doing what you getting your stuff together, I'm gonna go run this real quick, and then I'll let you get out of here.
Get away from him. You're loose. But I know, but you know, police officers.
Oh no, I'm fine.
Dogs.
I'm
if she
was gonna do something, she would have already done it, and she's Tom was keeping.
I just hesitate to break the law standing in front of a police officer. He's not on the leash.
Mr. Hilton?
Yeah.
Nobody wants you.
Well, if they do, it's popped up in the last 6 hours or whatever.
Right.
12 hours because they were running me on 20 thinking I'm drunk. Now they're in here thinking I'm going to take one of their deer.
Because Gary's crimes took place on National Forest land, he's in danger of federal prosecution, a risk he brought up several times when talking to Georgia investigators.
Well, I'm going to dig my heels in. I don't want federal custody. They're going to send me to Supermax. I just know they are. So it's where they send the notorious, infamous people.
Well,
okay, they're sending Mike to Supermax, man.
Well, I mean, it's debatable on who calls you notorious and who calls you, you know, just a mad guy.
Hilton's guilty plea in the Meredith Emerson case sends the wheels of justice spinning rapidly. He's sentenced to life in prison for the murder on January 31st, 2008, less than a month after his arrest.
When you're going out to kill somebody, if you're seen by a single other person on the trail, then that day's screwed. But when you procrastinate because you don't want to get up and kill someone, and you let it go and you say, I won't kill anyone today, we'll just go hiking with my dog, have fun. We're doomed anyway. And so you get down to the point where, well, like Meredith, I had $40 money and several days food. I was going to have to kill somebody in that period of time. Okay? And when you get down to the bitter end, you ignore all the rules you set. Part of it is I'm curious. You know, if as an artist and as a sociopath, if you're doing this, you would like to select your victims on an artistic sense. But when you get down, you procrastinate and you hit someone's got a flaw. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, I want to know them and to see what, you know, who I have got, rather than just a faceless person you're going to kill. Again, I'm remorseful over Meredith because just for the fact that, if nothing else, she drove a Chevy Cavalier. I can't tell you how much I respect that.
Why is that?
Why yelp he's going to drive a little cheap white Chevy Cavalier? I asked her why. She told me sensible reasons and everything. I respected her to no end for that.
Yeah.
She didn't have a brain in her head, but hey, neither do you either. And sure, her life was just stupid, but the thing is, it was full, and she was happy at it.
Hilton was indicted in federal court for the murders of John and Irene Bryant in 2011, and he ultimately pled guilty. He received 4 consecutive life sentences in 2013.
Listen, I couldn't, there's no way I could make it on the outside. I've told you before, I'd have to turn right around, walk back in here. I'd have no place to go, nothing to do.
But there's one more murder for which Hilton is being prosecuted, and the district attorney in Leon County, Florida, is determined to get justice for the death of Cheryl Dunlap.
But you tell them I'll fight it all the way, and if they want to spend $10 million to try to execute a man who's not going to live long to get executed, hey, just bring it the hell on. But I ain't going to lay down for it.
Hilton pleads not guilty in Florida, which means he will go before a jury for the first time. And in addition to hearing the physical and circumstantial evidence tying Hilton to Cheryl's murder, they will hear from Hilton himself in the form of the recordings he made with Dandy.
I've gained 20 pounds in 3 months, 3 or 4 months. 171 pounds.
How?
You don't get any.
But it's not Hilton's seeming attempt at a video blog that prosecutors want the jury to see. It's a recording from December 3rd, 2007, only 2 days after Cheryl Dunlap went missing.
You get some good wonderful steak for it. She wouldn't be good. That one there. That one there, she was. See, I had stuff hidden. We had it hidden. We had the stuff. We had the guns. There were guns hidden. I killed them with that silver. Going down here, and we're going to the park. Yeah, gonna go have a good time. Go to the park. Yeah. But first, I gotta go hide it somewhere else.
The jurors also hear mention of a man named Samuel Rail, who was Hilton's lawyer and friend in the 1980s. Rail told Florida investigators that Hilton had been an advisor on a low-budget thriller he produced called Deadly Run. Hilton, he said, was the one who came up with the movie's premise: a serial killer who releases women into the woods so he can hunt them down and kill them like prey. Despite all this, Hilton appears to be confident about his chances when he spoke to another prisoner in the Leon County Jail.
Hey, the guy chopped a woman up, killed her dog up in Georgia and all that too, ain't you? Yeah, man, so crazy or what? Not crazy. I looked at him, he's got a little evil grin. I said, you gonna play the crazy card, ain't you?
But the evidence against Hilton is powerful. Investigators have found Cheryl Dunlap's DNA in Hilton's van, and while they were never able to positively identify the bone fragments from the burn pit, they discover a cigarette butt at the campsite with Hilton's DNA.
Ooh.
The jury's decision is unanimous. In April 2011, Gary Michael Hilton was found guilty of first-degree murder, kidnapping, and grand theft. In a 2025 interview, Hilton confessed to Cheryl Dunlap's murder for the first time, saying he abducted her off the trails in Leon Sinks Geological Park because he was running low on food. After running her ATM card several times over the coming days, he ended her life with a gunshot to the back of the head. The judge hands him the one sentence he's been trying desperately to avoid: death. Today, almost 20 years after what he calls his rampage, Hilton awaits execution at Union Correctional Institution in Raeford, Florida. If you'd like to see select new videos early and help us keep uncovering case files that rarely come to light, you'll find extra footage and unseen details on our Patreon.
I mean, I'm gonna be
Channel
real, man.
Memberships here on YouTube also
I'd say
include
let the
early access to
motherfucker
select new
just
videos.
rot in jail. I feel like the death sentence is, I don't know, man. Like, it's kind of like, I feel like being in jail, knowing you're gonna die in jail, is worse than than they're just coming to kill you one day. You know what I mean? I mean, shit, because, like, maybe someone will just be like, fuck it, and torture his ass in jail or something. I don't know. Old man like that, he's probably someone's prison bitch. When you ask for a supervisor but get a canine
in
instead.
February 2024,
better be good.
a Columbia County Sheriff's deputy was on routine patrol when he observed a vehicle with an equipment violation in Fall River, Wisconsin. A 40-year-old male named Matthew was said to have driven past the deputy.
Wait. What? Code Blue Cam? I want to watch another Ewu.
When you're going out to kill somebody,
This one was so fucked, dude. Ah, this one's fucking... Dude, none of these are that great, to be real.
On September...
All right, bros. We got another Explore With Us, also known as Ewu. This one's 2 months ago, 3.3 million views. Cops discover real-life horror movie off a dirt road. Let's crock straight into it.
On September 9th, 2016, following a 911 call that abruptly cut off just as a woman was screaming for help, 2 deputies from Royce City, Texas head to a rural road where they find a hysterical woman desperately trying to get aid.
Oh shit, this is in
The following
Texas?
report is based...
Royce City? I've never heard of that. Where's this at? Just outside of Dallas, huh? It's only a couple hours from where I'm at.
based on official police records, and some of the footage has never been seen before until now.
What's going on?
My husband, he went to go help me. My Jeep is stuck around the corner, and he's been shot in the head, please. He's around the corner.
Come here. Come here.
The guy took it. I don't have it. He's on my phone. I don't have anything.
Come here. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a
Please.
seat. Stay in here. Stay here.
Please. No, please go around. He's dead further. Please go.
Ready? Start. Ready?
Please. Please. Please go. Please go. Please go. Please go. Please go. Please.
She said he's down here. He got shot in the head.
Please go. Please go. Please.
Her security unit said our Jeep is stuck down there.
Please go. Please.
The deputy rushes to investigate the situation, updating his partner as he makes his way down the road. The woman, on the other hand, is left secured in the vehicle.
Please tell me something. Come on. Come on, bring him up. Please, ambulance. Please, ambulance. Please, 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 please.
Soon more officials begin to arrive, including an ambulance.
Please, go back there. Please, go back there. Please, 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 go get him. Please, go get him. Please, please. Please, please, please. No, is he okay? blood on my hands. I had blood on my hands and I ran. That's all I did. I don't have my phone. I don't have anything. Please let him be okay. I can't do this on my own.
As the woman continues to panic in the back of the police vehicle, the deputy fills the arriving officials in on the situation.
Out there. He's sitting in the middle of the road in a real nice Jeep, vehicle running, head down. Okay. Looks like he's got a waddy shotgun up at the side of his head. Like in close contact with him, but there's no burning. There's no gun. Yes, sir. She's got blood on her arm. I don't know if you guys want to look at it. I don't know. Well, if you've seen her yet. Well, I'm going to want to talk to her, so.
The ambulance is brought back up the road, notably without the woman's husband inside.
Where are they going? Where are they going? Where are they going?
She's then brought to the ambulance to be checked out and is soon joined by Officer Meek, who will begin the arduous process of detangling the complicated story of what actually happened on that dark, rural road.
So your lungs are clear, okay? It's not asthma, okay?
Hello. You're 100% over here on the monitor. You're looking good. You want a little bit of oxygen to help you out?
I want to. Is it okay?
Well, I got to get some information from you real quick, okay? Listen to me real quick. Let these guys do what they need to do, but you listen to me, all right?
Just 1 second. What I need you to do is in through your nose, out through your mouth. Slow your breathing down. Concentrate on that. So when you listen to him, when he's talking to you, the whole time I want you to think slow in through the nose, out through the mouth. I'm going to give you a little oxygen. Calm yourself down. It's
Interesting.
Gonna,
she seems genuinely
After some deep breaths, the woman reveals that her name is Chasey Pointer. After being read her Miranda rights, she agrees to speak.
Tell us what happened.
I was driving from Quinlan. From Quinlan.
What were you driving?
My Jeep.
Yeah, actually, I don't know.
And I was gonna be my husband at the Jack in the Box. And when he texted me, I told him I was 3 miles away.
Yeah, slow down. Slow down.
When he texted me, I came around the curve and I went off the road. And I called him to let him know what happened. When I was on the phone with him, he said, I don't think I can make it down the road. So we walked up here and we walked back to my Jeep.
So the gray truck right here, who's that?
That's his truck.
That's his truck.
He came out here to help me. And he backed the Jeep up, and I was sitting right at the back of it. And I went to go get, and I heard a shot. And the Jeep started rolling, and I didn't see anything. And I saw a shadow. That's all I saw. And when I walked up to him, I yelled his name, and I just felt something on me. I ran. I didn't know what else to do, and I dropped my phone. There's where I feel. I don't know how I
Okay, I'm not believing this now.
That's all right. Calm down.
Why aren't
Pretty
you
slow.
crying?
I'm trying.
So was anyone else out there with you?
No, I was out there by myself. I
No.
told him
Was it your husband? What's his name?
Robert Pointer.
Robert Pointer?
Yeah, he's a firefighter. I didn't mean to come down this road. I was good on the other road,
Uh-huh.
and I missed it. So I just took the next thing, and I was looking at my map. It's the only thing.
You were looking at the map and what? You were looking at the map and what? Just breathe for me, okay?
That's why I have blood.
Just breathe for me.
That's why I have blood on me.
Do you have the mud on you because y'all were trying to get the Jeep unstuck?
I fell when I was
Okay.
running up here.
Okay.
While the EMTs check out Chasey, Officer Meek takes a few photos for evidence. During this process, she realizes something else is amiss.
Hold your hands together just like that, palm straight now. There you go.
My wedding ring is gone.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Chasey's rambling story will eventually become clearer, but it will also change frequently, leaving investigators with the complicated task of working out the truth. After being cleared by paramedics, Chasey exits the ambulance and is escorted back to the police vehicle.
I just sore
What are you sore from?
from falling. I fell.
While you're running?
Chasey claims that after she heard a shot and saw her husband slumped over in the driver's seat of her Jeep, she ran and tripped, falling in a mud puddle. She believes this is where her wedding ring, shoes, and phone were. It's also why she abruptly hung up when calling 911. She claims that she couldn't find the phone after she fell. Chasey then gives the investigator some background information about her marriage to Robert, who is 18 years her senior.
We've been having problems, and he's contacted an attorney to get a divorce, and I was okay with that. We've been married 6 years, almost 7 years, and he said that he wasn't gonna throw my stuff out anymore. He just wanted me to come home, and I told him that was fine. He said he didn't want to get divorced, and I told him I didn't want to either. I love him. He's a pain in the...
Wait, she's 29? She
The officer
looks like
asked
almost
where
40.
she'd been coming from before her Jeep got stuck in the ditch, and she called Robert to help her move it. Chasey says she'd been at a friend's house, but there's more to this story than she admits at first.
I don't believe
Michael Garcia. Michael Garza.
Michael Garza?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like this is an
How
act.
long you known him?
For
Who the fuck does this?
4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months?
Yeah.
Is he like a boyfriend or just friend or?
He was letting me. He told me that I could stay at his house.
Yeah, dude, I
He's
agree.
not ever there, and I.
How old is he? How old's Michael?
Like, you'd be
Garza?
crying hysterically,
He's in
not
his
like
30s.
In his 30s?
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about it.
This claim about Michael Garza is just the tip of the iceberg, as investigators will soon realize. As the crime scene is locked down, Chasey is transported to the police station to give her statement about the horrific events of the night.
Okay.
Yeah, my feet hurt from being barefoot.
I'm just sunburned, dude. That's the only reason why I don't have a shirt on, because it fucking hurts. Like my shoulders, the tops of my shoulders are like really sunburnt.
Just after 2 a.m., Chasey is brought into an interrogation room, and it's here that the real work of uncovering the twisted truth begins.
Come sit right here in this great chair for me. I understand that Officer Meek read you the Miranda rights and everything out there in the field. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's getting worse.
I've never been in a situation before, so I don't know if it's best if I get an attorney or not.
Okay. Well, you're not under arrest.
Okay.
Okay. You're not free to leave because we're still trying to figure out what all happened. But you're not under arrest.
Okay.
Chasey is left alone for a few minutes, and she seems to finally take a look at the mud and blood covering her arms. When the detective returns, Chasey begins to tell him about the problem she was having with Robert. She claims it first came to a head about 2.5 years ago.
What did those issues kind of consist of?
He became real violent towards me.
Okay.
There was a couple of times that he broke one of my phones in half. He would go through the phone bill and just call a bunch of numbers. I have a business on the side where I make cakes, and he would call everybody that was on the phone bill to see who they were.
As it turns out, Robert had actually filed for divorce previously, 2.5 years ago. The couple decided to split up.
Nah, dude,
and
I was just
Chasey
outside.
moved out of the house to live with her
I
mom.
burn really
The problem
easily.
was, the divorce papers stipulated that she couldn't take her daughter with her. This was one of the reasons
I was
the
only
couple
out there for like an
decided to
hour.
reconcile, because Chasey didn't want to leave her daughter. According to Chasey, after getting back together, their relationship had been fine until recently, when Robert filed for divorce again. The couple's 6-year-old daughter had actually come up earlier that night when Chasey was talking to Officer Meek in the back of the police vehicle.
The last couple of days we've been fighting.
Okay. What do y'all fight over?
Anything. He could be my daughter. He's trying to take my daughter away from me, and he keeps telling me he knows the loopholes. She's the only kid I could ever have, and she's everything to me.
Right.
My daughter's my world.
Why would your husband be trying to take your daughter from you though? Like what reason did he
Because
give you?
he knows that that's what's gonna hurt me the most, and he knows that's what's gonna make me stay.
Despite claiming that her daughter was her world, Chasey had no idea where her daughter was when she made that statement. She'd left her with some of Michael Garza's friends, who were currently trying to find her in order to return her daughter. Earlier that evening, the friends had actually driven to Chasey and Robert's house, but found it empty. As they were returning home, They saw the commotion of emergency lights around the crime scene and decided to stop and speak to police. Chasey's daughter is in the back of their vehicle as they discuss Michael Garza and Chasey with Officer Meek.
Yeah, they were supposed to be going on a date. I was watching the daughter.
Is that why you kept her?
Yeah,
child?
that's why I have her.
Okay.
And she was like, because she tried to get me to drop her off at somebody's house down the street, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
No, that's good. You did good.
Police soon contacted Chasey's mom and stepdad to come and pick up their granddaughter.
Hello.
Jay Harper.
Officer Meek. We got your granddaughter up here in the Suburban here. This was the babysitter. Hey, let's step up here out of the road. All right, here's the deal. They were babysitting your granddaughter today, okay? Because your daughter, your daughter had them babysit their daughter so she could go spend the evening with a boyfriend, and that's what we got right now. But so your granddaughter's fine. We just need somebody to take custody of the granddaughter because your daughter's actually being detained right now for our investigation. I can't tell you anything else about the investigation. All I can tell you is she is being detained at this time.
Tell us if she's physically okay.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Has there been an accident?
I can't tell you anything else. All I can tell you is she's perfectly fine, breathing and everything, talking to us and everything, but she's being detained at this time per our investigation.
It's her spouse, Robert.
I can't give you any other information about her.
That's kind of uncomfortable, officer.
I understand that.
Desperate for answers, they begin
Too
quizzing
fucking
Michael's
bad,
friends
man.
about the situation.
I don't know anything about what's going on except I was asked on her when y'all's daughter's on a date was.
Michael Garza. Like Mikey Garza? I don't know.
No, I didn't wipe my nose on my mic. I had an itch
What do we
on
do
my
from here?
nose.
Just go home, and then whenever everything's figured out, then we'll make phone calls, or she'll be able to make phone calls, or whatever else here in a few minutes. But right now, it's a active investigation, so I can't tell you anything else.
Chasey's mom and stepdad will eventually speak to her, but for now, they take her 6-year-old daughter home with them. Back in her interrogation, Chasey explains that because there were problems in her relationship with Robert again, she'd started talking to Michael Garza, who she met on Facebook. This is only a partial truth.
I met Michael Garcia through Facebook.
Michael Garcia?
Garza, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know why I always do that. We were just friends. That's it. Robert.
Who the fuck picks up
knows
girls on
that
Facebook,
I was
dude?
seeing somebody he doesn't know who.
While she's now claiming that her and Michael Garza were mostly just friends, she said something very different about them hanging out earlier this evening while she was at the crime scene.
Did y'all have a date? Was it date night?
No, we just hung out. We had sex, obviously.
Okay. Well, not obviously. I'm asking. I need you to tell me.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So y'all had sex.
Yes.
And how long were you over there?
2 hours.
2 hours. Have y'all ever had sex prior to this?
Yes. What's before?
Where at?
In his truck.
In his truck.
Yes.
And so now y'all have had sexual relations twice. Tonight
Who the
being
fuck
the
has
second
sex in
time,
a
right?
truck if you're not fucking
Then your
like?
husband wasn't aware of any of this?
No.
Okay.
In
You know, like,
interrogation,
yeah,
Chasey
fucking, like,
shares
in
an
high school
anecdote
or
about
whatever
what
the fuck, you
sparked
know what I
one
mean?
of her and Robert's recent fights.
Shit's not fun.
He
What the
asked
fuck?
me, who came to the house, and I kept telling him I didn't know who came to the house. I received a text message probably about 2 weeks ago from a number, and I didn't know who it was. And I told Robert about it. I sent him screenshots, and so it kind of sparked a little argument. And he kept telling me that if I didn't tell him who it was, that he was going to kick me out.
While Chasey doesn't reveal the significance of this seemingly offhand story, it will later become crucial to understanding what was really going on.
He's had a past, he has hit me over the years, not like constantly, but there's been occasions, whether he gets mad at his ex-wife and I get it taken out on me, but I never pressed charges because I didn't want him to lose his job.
Okay.
And his job is really important to him.
Though Chasey mentions Robert's ex-wife Amy, she doesn't go into detail about the turbulence between the two of them. Robert and Amy had been married for 20 years, but divorced when she discovered he was cheating on her with Chasey. Back in her interrogation, Chasey explains that she and Robert had been fighting for a few days, including the night before Robert was shot.
I got home and Robert just kept calling me names.
Okay.
He kept telling me that I was a and he just felt like I was and all these other things. And I told him, I said, you're being a right now. I said, I'm not going to sit here and listen to it. I said, I'm just going to go. I said, I don't care if I have to go get a hotel room or if I have to go to my mom's. I said, but I'm not going to listen to it. And I started putting my scrubs in my bag, and he told me that if I left, not to come back.
Despite this, Chasey had returned to the house later that night, and by Friday morning, the day Robert was shot, their turbulent relationship took another turn just as she was leaving for work.
But as I was walking out, he said, I hope you know that I still love you, and I still want you here. So I asked him if we could talk today.
While Chasey says that she and Robert had planned to talk about how they would stay together, she told other people something quite different. Michael's friends, who'd been taking care of Chasey's daughter the night Robert was shot, later spoke with police, and what they shared opposed Chasey's claim.
And she told him that she was going to go meet up with her husband because he finally said that he would sign divorce papers.
While Chasey fully admits to spending time with Michael Garza before meeting up with her husband, when asked about who she was texting and calling while at Michael's house, she leaves out crucial details about a third man, one which complicates this story even further.
So you never spoke to anybody, you never called anybody, you never texted anybody other than Robert?
I was texting my friend Brad. He asked how it was going, I think I said, oh, it's going. Like,
What is your relationship with Brad?
we're just friends.
Okay. And how long have you known Brad?
Probably since I was 17. No, I was younger than that.
Okay.
He's a friend of my dad's.
Okay. Have you ever been intimate with Brad?
No.
Okay. So you've never had sex with Brad in any way?
Brad eventually came in to speak with police, and what he revealed flipped everything Chasey just claimed on its head. The two had started talking on Facebook around May 2016, about 5 months earlier. This means that her relationship with Brad overlapped with the one she had with Michael. Unlike what she told Michael, though, Chasey had claimed to Brad that she'd been divorced since 2014.
I was with Chasey at least 6 days a week, probably 7.
Now, when you say with Chasey, was it just a hangout, or was that for sex, or?
Well, a lot of it was for sex.
It's clear that Chasey is leaving out a lot about her relationship with Brad, begging the question, what else is she not being honest about? Brad will eventually reveal even more of Chasey's secrets, including a twisted plan for the night Robert was shot. He's also not the only person to come forward about her illicit love life. For now, though, the detective speaking with Chasey asks her to go over Robert's shooting again. She repeats the same story she already told officers at the scene. This detective, however, isn't buying it.
I'm having a hard time with the fact that somebody, with you being 5 feet away, would shoot your husband and then just not even, would let you into the vehicle, not mess with you at all.
No, look, that's what I'm telling you. When I was trying to get away, there was someone standing right there, and they were coming up to me. But I just kept on running.
Okay, how close were they standing to the vehicle?
I don't know.
Okay, you're saying that there's somebody there, and obviously they're close enough to shoot your husband.
I didn't see anybody standing there.
Earlier, though, when talking to Officer Meek, Chasey had claimed that she actually did see someone.
There was a man. There was a man.
There was a man?
Yes, yes.
Did you see what the man was wearing?
No, his dark. No, my headlights were shining. He was wearing dark clothes. He wasn't as tall as you.
I know. Just
here's the problem with this. Okay, from what you're saying, the blood splatter on your arm, the description that you're giving, it doesn't add up.
I didn't shoot my husband.
I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying that you might be more involved in what you're letting off.
I don't know how.
You keep talking about how you want to protect your daughter, you want to be with your daughter. Playing this role is not going to help you.
I'm not playing any role. That's the thing.
Look, your story does not add up with the evidence that's there.
Okay, but I feel like I'm being backed in the corner and I haven't done anything.
I'm not saying you have. I'm just saying your story doesn't add up. There needs to be more information, and you're not providing it.
I don't know.
Blood splatter's on her left
The streak
neck,
right
right?
there on your arm is a blood splatter. Okay, you see how it splatters up your arm?
Yes.
That is not from.
I was not next to him. I was not next to him. When I touched him, I had blood running down my arm, and then I fell into a mud puddle.
That's obvious. I'm not denying that. We found your phone in the water. I believe that happened.
I don't know what
I'm not denying that. Here's my thing. You're saying that somebody just randomly killed your husband out in the middle of a field, okay? who then allows you to get into this vehicle, stop the vehicle, touch your husband, allow you to run past this guy, and never bother you. I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
It seems that investigators had their suspicions about Chasey from the first moment they saw Robert's body, as the responding deputy's dash cam audio reveals.
That's why I secured her. I got my doors locked and everything. Nobody can get her out.
Chasey also didn't help diminish any suspicion when Officer Meek came to speak with her while she was sitting in the back of a police vehicle at the crime scene.
Hey, Miss Pointer. I got some forms here I'd like you to read and fill out, if you will, okay? Basically, what they are is they're just consent to searches. So basically saying that we're allowed to look at your phone and look in your purse and look at your residence and that kind of stuff, okay?
Okay.
All right?
Do I need an attorney or anything? I mean, am I in trouble?
I've read you your rights, and you understood your rights, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. If you would like to speak to an attorney, that's totally up to you.
Okay. I don't know. I've never. I don't know.
No, it's fine. Listen to me. Would you like me to read you your rights again?
No, I heard you first. But
Okay.
I don't know. I've never been in trouble before.
No, and I'm not saying you're in trouble.
Where's
know,
the
but-
gun is what I'm
I don't
wondering.
know.
We're doing an investigation right now because we're trying to find out
It's
what
gotta
happened.
be
That's all
somewhere
we're doing,
around there.
okay?
That's fine.
So you tell me. Are you willing to fill my paperwork out or no? Yes or no? It's up to you.
That's fine. I don't know. I don't
Exactly,
know.
bro. Yeah, she
I don't
hasn't
know if
cried
it's-
once.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I don't have
She's
anything
just trying to
hide.
act like all
After a
shocked
bit
and
more
shit.
hesitation, Chasey signed the consent form. However, despite her claim, she had a lot to hide, though she denied it while in interrogation.
I don't know what else you want to tell you. I'm
I
telling
want
you
the
the truth.
truth. I want to know
I'm
who pulled
telling
the
you the
trigger.
truth. I don't know who pulled the trigger.
See, I think you do, and that's the problem.
No, I don't. I don't know what else you want me to tell you.
I want you to tell me the truth.
I am telling you the truth. I don't know who pulled the trigger. I don't know anything.
Look, the way your husband was killed, somebody was right next to him.
I wasn't right next to him.
You were within 5 feet of where he died.
I wasn't right next
Your
to him.
own admission of where you were standing, you were 5 feet, within 5 feet of this man being murdered, and you're saying you didn't see anything, you didn't see anybody standing there.
No.
I don't buy it. I think you're full of crap. I want you to tell me the truth. I want you to tell me who pulled the trigger.
I don't
would
know.
believe you if you said you didn't pull the trigger.
I didn't.
I would. But I want to know who did. And I do not believe you that you do not know.
I don't know. I
I
don't
think you're
know.
full of crap.
I don't know who pulled the trigger. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't. I did not kill my husband. I don't know who killed my husband. I don't know. I don't want him dead. I don't. I wanted our family to be normal again. That's all I wanted. I don't know who pulled the trigger. I really don't.
I don't believe you. It's that simple.
The detective then begins to develop a theory, asking Chasey if she ever vented to Michael Garza about her problems with Robert. She admits that she did.
He knows he's hit me before because he saw the bruises on my arms, and that was probably a week or two ago. I've got bruises on the back of my legs. I've got random bruises from Robert. It could just be him grabbing me. He's done this to me for 7 years. There's been times that he will get upset and he'll grab me by the hair and he'll slam my head up against the window. I don't know why. I know I can be a pill to deal with, and I know that.
Michael wasn't the only man Chasey made these kinds of allegations to. She also made similar claims to Brad, the other man she was seeing.
She told me that he would drag her around. I asked her over and over and over. I said, "Why don't you go to the police, Chasey?" And she would tell me that he would kill her.
Along with this, Chasey had also told
That's
Brad
such
about
bullshit,
an incident
bro.
with
Like-
Robert, one that casts a different light on the current situation.
I think he told her before.
Dude, exactly. Like, they would just keep you in custody, or you know what I mean, and make sure that, you know, he would be detained or something before he could ever, like, get to you.
She pointed a gun at him. Maybe if she pointed a gun at him that time. I think she said he told her that there's something about they'll carry her out in a body bag. And Chasey told me that she told him, no, they'll carry you out in a body bag.
While she hasn't admitted to it, Chasey has been keeping another secret. She wasn't just cheating on Robert with Michael and Brad, but also a third man named Sean. Just like the others, she told him about her alleged issues with
These
Robert.
hoes ain't loyal.
Tracy had met Sean at a firefighter event before they started talking on Facebook. He eventually came forward and spoke with police, claiming that he and Tracy had been seeing each other for around 7 months, from September 2015 to July 2016. This time period overlapped with her relationships with both Brad and Michael.
She told me on a couple of occasions that he, would put hands on her or, threaten her. Threaten to divorce her and take her kid and everything, stuff like that. But, she basically painted him to be a monster. Well, she had said that a day or so before, he had grabbed her and was physical with her, and there wouldn't be anything. No finger marks on the arm, nothing around the throat, nothing.
Just like with Brad, Tracy had made a concerning comment to Sean.
There were times that she would say, she wished she died in the fire or stuff like that, and, I just kind of blew it off.
In her interrogation, the detective continues to try and pry the truth from Tracy.
So let me ask you this: so was this something set up that Mikey had done to get him out of the way so y'all could be together?
No.
Was this something that he had done to, I guess, retaliate to protect you? I guess Robert.
That I don't know. That I really don't know. At one point I told him, I said, I don't have any way out. I'm just gonna throw my hands up and just stay with him. I told him this a couple days ago. I told him I've been with him for almost 7 years. What's the rest of the time until he gets older? And he said, you shouldn't have to live like that. He would tell me he was going to come over and basically just beat him up, is what he was telling me.
Like he was.
Yes. And I kept telling him, there's no need for that. It's fine. I can handle on my own. And I kept telling him, I don't want you involved. That's what I told him.
Okay. So here's what I think happened. I think Mikey's involved in this. Okay. And I'd even go so far as to say that you probably didn't have any knowledge of his actions. Okay.
I would hope to God that he wouldn't have done that. I mean, he knew that Robert and I were having problems. He knew that I wanted to try to work things out. And just like tonight.
Well, so that's part of the problem. You say you wanted to work things out. You had sex with him tonight, even though you wanted to work things out. You probably told him you loved him. He has already told you within 3 months that he loved you, which is pretty quick.
Yes.
I'd say that,
he told me tonight.
Obsession.
Yeah. Fucking weirdo.
He's already said that he would do violent things for you. I believe that you saw Mikey do this, you panicked, and that's the way you went, which is why you are unscathed in this. Somebody that just cold-blooded murders somebody, okay, does not let another witness just leave.
I didn't see anybody, but if I had to guess from things that he said to me before, I would say it was him.
That's not good enough. That is not good enough.
He has made comments to me about family and friends.
Look at this fucking
It's
slut.
not good enough. You're
Immediately
5 feet
selling them out.
5 feet. You are this table length distance away. Somebody taking a shotgun, pushing it right up against your husband's head. Boom!
No.
Boom! And you're telling me you see nothing? You see nothing.
There was nobody standing next to him. Nobody standing next to him. There was nobody standing next to him.
Following this confrontation, Tracy's story changes dramatically.
Don't lie to me. You're going to take a fall for this. You're never going to see your daughter again. Okay? All because you're trying to protect somebody else.
He did it.
You saw it.
I didn't see him.
Then how do you know he did it?
I did. He had a box of gloves sitting on his kitchen table. A box of rubber gloves. He had a camo shirt sitting there next to it. He had
Well, she just admitted to being an accessory, at least, I think.
I don't know what it was. I don't know anything. There was a trash bag sitting next to it.
She now adds another element, notably something she hasn't mentioned until now.
He has told me that his family was part of the Mexican mafia.
Who did?
Michael.
Okay.
And that he could make people disappear.
So Mikey told you that he could make people disappear?
Yes.
And what did you say to that?
I told him that that's not what I wanted.
Somewhat unsurprisingly, this new version contradicts something Chasey said earlier about Michael while sitting in the back of a police cruiser at the crime scene.
Do you ever make any type of threats towards your husband or anything like that?
Nothing.
Now, though, Chasey is painting a very different picture of Michael.
And I kept telling him,
she's selling you out, man.
If
You
I
fucking
got
bitch.
too far into this, and
Talking to
I
girls
didn't
on
want to piss him off,
Facebook
that
like a
he-
fucking
I was gonna
weirdo.
be the one to disappear. And I even said that to him tonight because he kept saying, "I don't want him hitting you."
No, I think you're just trying to get me to shut up, and you're saying something that you think I want to hear.
I don't know if he did it though.
Okay.
But from what he had sitting around the
Well, you
table
just said he did it.
and the comments that he kept making, that's what I was going for. I told him, I said that I was going to go to dinner with Robert, and he kept saying, "Well, if I find out where you're at, I'm going to show up." And he said if he said,
What's
if I see
homeboy
him
messing
with
with?
you, he said, "I'm going to cut his lips off."
When did he say this?
This was tonight.
Getting Michael's side of the story, though, was about to prove harder than expected.
He's a lifted
Later
truck driver.
on, the same
Not
day as
surprised.
Chasey's interview, investigators decide to raid Michael's house with Texas Rangers and Rockwall SWAT after hearing that he'd returned there sometime after Robert's death.
Brother, anyone who drives a lifted truck is a fucking loser. I
Despite
swear
the
to
effort,
God.
there's
They
no
really
sign
are,
of
dude.
Michael inside the residence or in his truck.
I haven't met one cool
Here's some more
guy who
camo
drives a
and
lifted
black,
truck. Straight
clothing.
the fuck up.
Why would you have a camera system and it facing the wall?
Oh.
Unless you have someone here you didn't want people to see.
Yeah.
The hunt for Michael will continue, so for now, investigators make do with Chasey's version of events. After a quick trip to the bathroom, the detective continues questioning Chasey, and it seems like the break gave her time to think, because when they start up again, she has an entirely new series of events
Yeah, I swear,
to
dude,
share,
like, they're
now
so
claiming that she
insecure, that's
actually
why they
did
need to
see
drive a
Michael
lifted truck.
standing at the side of the Jeep.
When I took a friend,
It's compensation, dude. It's psychological compensation for how much,
Mikey Bush.
like, I don't know. I guess they are so afraid to be, like, seen as the pussies they really are. I swear to God, dude. I've seen it so many
I
times.
don't know if y'all can. I don't know how y'all can do it. If y'all
Straight up
can,
chotches
the
drive
call was
lifted
ending.
trucks.
He picked up my phone. He ended the call and he threw it down in front of me, and I was on my hands and knees in the mud. And I couldn't find it.
Though she'd been claiming up until now that she dropped her phone in the mud puddle, causing the 911 call to end, when authorities first arrived, Chasey slipped up.
The guy took I don't have it. It's on my phone.
Does this slip-up indicate that she's now finally telling the truth about what happened to her phone, and Michael took it from her? Or is this all still an elaborate lie?
I didn't want him dead. There was
But you just didn't want him. You didn't want to be with him anymore.
No, I wanted to. I wanted us to work things out.
Despite this claim, Chasey had slipped up again while at the crime scene.
So your husband knew Mr. Garza?
No, and that's why we've been having problems. I didn't want to be married anymore.
Chasey's text messages also reveal another side to her story. When texting Sean, the third man she was seeing, about hers and Robert's relationship, Chasey wrote, "I only have one way out of this, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. And I hate him so much, more than I've ever hated anything in my life." If that wasn't clear enough, she also told him that I would be better off with him gone, benefits and can't lose custody. Chasey's lies continue to pile up, and there are still many more to be exposed. After hearing her latest story, the detective leaves Chasey alone again.
A fucking ugly fat bitch.
Face off my head.
Here's what I want you to do, okay? I want you to write out everything that happened tonight, okay? Everything that's pertinent information, okay? I want you to take your time. I want you to write it out. And remember, if you lie on here, it's against the law, okay? Charges could come to you if you lie, okay? Just know this is also your opportunity that after we talk to Mikey and he tries to throw you under the bus, because I guarantee you he will, this is your one opportunity to get all the truth out there.
After filling out 5 pages for her statement, The officer reviews
5
it and then
pages.
confronts Chasey with what he's discovered while he was out of the room, catching her in yet another lie. The area where she said her vehicle had become stuck didn't have any trees big enough for it to be trapped.
A four-wheel drive Jeep like that would not get stuck where you're saying it got stuck.
No, I wasn't telling him I was stuck. I told him that I went off the road. And that's what I called to tell him.
This is another direct contradiction to what Chasey said at the scene.
Where was it stuck? In the front, in the rear, the side?
It was in the front.
Okay.
There's a branch, and I couldn't get it to back up over it.
Okay.
And it was hung, and there was tree branches on the inside.
Was it across the road or was it
No,
on the side?
it's in the ditch. I went off into the ditch.
Okay.
All I can see is
You haven't seemed upset. You haven't. I don't know. It's almost been like
This
just a blank
stupid
slate,
fucking
like,
bitch.
Like almost like you prepared for this.
Hearing this and perhaps realizing that she isn't going to be able to sell this story, Chasey once again adjusts the details, now saying that when Robert threatened to kick her out of the house, she asked Michael what they could do, and she claims he said he would have someone kill him or he would do it.
the last thing he told me was, if I do this, you're going to be right there and you're going to watch it. And I told him I didn't want to. First he told me that he wanted me to meet him in Dallas to talk. And he kept saying that he wanted me to bring him as far into Dallas as he could, or as I could, because he wanted to make it look like a robbery.
According to Chasey's latest version, Michael had planned to burn Robert's truck and the clothes he was wearing in order to cover up the evidence. However, that didn't happen, and so they went with a new plan. Chasey admits that she drove down the rural road, went into the ditch, and called Robert to come to the spot where Michael told her to stop. Now that she finally seems to be closer to the truth, Chasey goes over the shooting once again.
Robert had pulled the Jeep out.
Yeah, so still like conspiracy to commit murder or whatever the fuck it's called.
He didn't even have time to react, and he shot. Oh my God, he shot him. I told him to stop.
You were screaming at Michael to stop?
Yes. I wanted him to know what it's like to be bullied all the time. He's constantly telling me how worthless I am.
Dude, she looks like a crazy bitch in that photo. My God, her eyes are all black.
I'm a bad mom. I'm not a bad mom.
Even though it seems like Chasey has finally begun to divulge the truth, there's another element that she has withheld from all versions of her story. When Brad came to speak with detectives, he revealed that around the time of the shooting, he was actually in contact with Chasey.
Whenever I said I'd talked to Chasey about 10 o'clock at night, it was the night, obvious, of the murder. She told me she was at the hospital.
Chasey made the call to 911 at 10:48 p.m., meaning that Chasey was on the phone with Brad just before the shooting. To explain the time she was spending with Robert or one of the other men she was seeing, Chasey had told Brad that her grandfather was sick and was visiting him in the hospital. She even told him that he'd passed away that evening.
I even got messages showing she was on her way to my house whenever all this went down, but I thought she was leaving the hospital.
Brad now suspects that Chasey had planned for him to be her alibi for the time of Robert's shooting, as she was supposed to stay the night with him. For now, the detective makes do with the current story he has from Chasey.
We're going to do this again. Okay? Write out everything that happened in this time, everything that you told me. Okay? When I was talking about the emotions, this is one of the emotions that I think you're truly being sincere about.
He made me feel like all the time. But when he wasn't being, he pushed me to be a better person.
Chasey is left alone to once again write up a new statement. During his interview, Brad posited a theory that Chasey may have had ulterior motives when telling him about Robert allegedly hurting her.
Why would she show me this gun or where? Why would she be telling me that he was abusive and this and that? I mean, either he was or she was trying to get me to say, I'll help you. You know?
Brad would eventually share one more shocking story. The day after Chasey's interview, investigators are still looking for Michael and decide to speak with his mother and brother.
we've got to make contact with him, okay? And the longer it goes, the more the hunt intensifies, if you will. You understand what I'm saying?
We have every intention of that boy presenting himself to the police station.
I know, but listen to me. I'd like it to occur tonight, like just within the next few hours. If y'all could get it to do it, we can promise his safety as long as he acts right. No harm will come to him. I can promise you that.
What we're after is for him to go in there, and then I don't know. I don't know much. I don't know like the whole picture of the story. I know I didn't raise a boy that is evil like that.
Though Michael's family was sure he would turn himself in.
You definitely
he didn't.
did.
And so investigators continued their search for him.
Sorry to break it to you, lady.
Chasey was left alone once she finished writing up her newest statement. But she will soon be joined by someone who throws a wrench in her allegations about Robert. Until then, it seems that Chasey has finally realized her lies have come crashing down around her.
First time she's cried.
I just want to stop beating him.
Chasey is eventually joined by her mother and her stepdad.
You're not hurt physically? Can you tell us?
The truth. And it's being recorded. Robert and I have been having problems again. And he said he's going to kick me out. And then he's going to take from me again. I talked to Robert yesterday. I know. No. But he's still pushing me around. He's not pushing you around, Jason. Mama, you don't live there. You're not going to yell at me, Jason. I'm not.
Chasey's own mother isn't the only one who has reservations about her claim that Robert hurt her. Chasey and Robert's neighbor later spoke with police, and she claimed to have spent a lot of time with the couple.
Well, I look at this and I look at, how she says that he was beating her and she just wanted him to be hurt. And I'm like, no, there's no way. There's no way. And all the times that we sat there, never once did she ever say anything to me about, he's abusive or he did this, never saw any bruises, never. I mean, they seem to be this happy couple.
She never shied away if he lifted his arm or anything like that.
Robert's ex-wife, Amy, also has her doubts about Chasey's allegations.
Did you ever see him get physically abusive with her?
No. He stood there. Anytime we saw that she would lose it, he just stood there and took it, because he was a big man. So, it didn't really faze him,
Okay. Was he ever physically abusive to you?
No.
Okay.
Never.
This is a good reason to have cameras in your house, so you can prove that shit.
Be quiet about, and then bring it up later, at a later time. But no, he
some
never
crazy
was
bitch
abusive,
like
never,
makes claims like that. Be like, oh,
never,
I got
don't
cameras,
even
yo.
remember him ever yelling or anything like that.
Robert's daughter, Nicole, also shared a story about a fight she witnessed between Chasey and Robert, casting further uncertainty on Chasey's claims.
They got into an argument, Dad and Chasey did.
Okay.
And she threw herself into a wall and said, was trying to act like he was the one hurting her. But I visually watched her throw herself into the wall and then start yelling about Robert, stop it. And he was like, what are you talking about? And it was very confusing.
Back in the interrogation room, Chasey attempts to plead with her mother and stepdad.
I didn't want him to kill him. I just wanted him. I just wanted him to scare him. Oh, no.
You just wanted Michael Garza to scare Robert.
Stop it. You're hurting me.
Shirley, do you want to go out? Officer, can we get my wife out, please?
I yelled at him and I told him not to. I told him not to. And as I was walking up, he did it. I told him not to.
After Chasey's mom leaves the room, her stepdad attempts to get Chasey to see the big picture.
I need you to calm down so you don't physically get a heart attack or a stroke, okay? What's done is done. Now we got to try and work our way through the details and see what to do next, okay? There's nothing I or your mother can do for you right now, okay?
Please.
We will. You know we will. You don't have to worry about that.
I don't.
We haven't told her anything.
After taking some time to calm herself down, Chasey's mother returns.
I'm trying to get her to eat something. She hadn't eaten all day, Helen.
You need to take care of yourself, Chasey. Boy, y'all need a new network guy.
A new network guy? What does that mean?
Listen to me. You have got to tell the
I don't think they should be touching her, bro. She got evidence on her.
She's repeated her story countless times by now. When speaking with her mom, Chasey adds a new detail, this time about the location of her wedding ring.
You don't have any shoes or anything?
My shoes are gone. He has my wedding ring.
Who?
My cousin, my wedding ring.
Why?
He took my earrings and my wedding ring.
There seems to be a pattern for her. This is another departure from what Chasey claimed earlier.
My wedding ring is in that puddle.
Okay.
My wedding ring is in that puddle.
There's still one more element of this twisted story. Though Chasey had concocted an intricate web of lies, everything had started to fall apart in recent weeks. Just under 2 weeks before Robert's death, Brad decided to go to Chasey's house when she wasn't answering her phone. He'd been to the house many times before, and Chasey told him that she lived there alone with her daughter. He claimed to have never seen any sign of Robert until that night.
She answers the door in kind of a frantic way and is pushing me down the sidewalk. Like, opens the door, answers the door, and just kind of like shoving me back on. And she said, Brad, he's here. Just get on going. I said, Chasey, easy. I said, don't worry about whatever. She said, no, get going, Brad. He'll kill you or whatever. That's what she told me.
Earlier in her interrogation, Chasey made an offhand comment about Robert wondering who had come to the house. It seems that the person he was inquiring about had been Brad.
And he kept asking me who came to the house, and I kept telling him I didn't know who came to the house.
Despite Chasey's denials, it seems that Robert suspected Chasey was seeing other men. He'd even installed a security system inside the home to try and catch her. Robert's daughter actually spoke to him a few hours before his death, confirming that he'd planned to leave and take his and Chasey's daughter with him.
He was complaining, kind of, about her and how I guess the marriage was not really a marriage anymore. Like, she didn't sleep in the same bedroom, and it wasn't sunshine and rainbows.
Sure.
And he said she was kind of nuts. And then he also told me that he was supposed to meet her that night so they could try to work things out. Like, because he wanted a divorce. And he was going to try and take...
In the interrogation room, Chasey's mother struggles to come to terms with what her daughter has done.
I don't know. It was that bad. Why couldn't you come to us? No.
I didn't want to.
I can't. Chasey, I love you, but I can't.
He killed our Robert, Chasey. He killed our Robert. I didn't want him to do it. I just wanted him to scare him enough that he would quit doing it for me. I don't want to hear it anymore. I love you.
Some
After
chicks,
her mother
man, they're just
leaves,
fucking
Chasey
crazy.
once again breaks down
Literally
in tears,
insane.
But she isn't left alone for long.
Ma'am,
Champion,
come on over.
You're being placed under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. You understand that?
Turn around, put your hands behind your back. She's going to pat you down, okay? Right quick. Just put your hands up there. She's going to pat you down.
Do you have anything on you? Okay, if you have anything on you,
I don't.
in you, and they find it at the jail, you could be charged with it. Just understand that, okay?
The only thing is I just have a bone body. That's all I have.
Okay, they'll take care of that. Okay, let me see your hands. I'm going to put the gun real live, okay? Okay, you good right there? See how it's moving? You got small wrists.
Following Chasey's arrest, Michael Garza turned himself in 2 days after Robert was shot. If investigators hoped to hear his version of events, they would be sorely disappointed.
How are you? How about yourself? Doing all right. My name's Michael Burke. I'm the detective from Royce City, okay? Quit standing up for me. Take your handcuffs off of you.
As soon as the detective gets Michael's handcuffs off, he reads him his Miranda rights.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak, tell me your side of the story, okay? We've already talked to Chasey. This is your opportunity to kind of say your side of the story, what happened, and we'll go from there.
Speak with the attorney.
Okay.
Michael Garza never did share his side of the story. However, some of his friends came forward and spoke with police, sharing what he apparently told them. They said that following Robert's shooting, Michael came directly to their house and made comments about up, and said that he was in big trouble. He also claimed that, quote, "the set me up." In his version of events, Michael told his friends that Chasey asked him to go with her to meet her husband that night. He says he brought his shotgun and drove in Chasey's Jeep together. He claimed that as they drove, Chasey said they were just going to kill the... Michael said that he got scared, got out of the Jeep, and ran into the woods. He claimed that when he heard a gunshot, he then ran all the way back to Quinlan. His friends were skeptical of this story, especially because he added that he saw the police lights as they responded to Chasey's 911 call, yet he'd apparently been running away at the time they would have arrived at the scene. As well, other evidence turned up. On October 17th, while harrowing a field near the back road where Robert was shot, a farmer came across something and immediately called the police.
Shotgun.
The firearm wasn't the only discovery made in that field.
It's gonna hurt us because it's inside out.
A balaclava is also found abandoned nearby. With Chasey's confession and this evidence, Michael Garza was convicted of first-degree murder for the intentional use of a deadly weapon and sentenced to 99 years in prison.
Hell yeah, bro.
Chasey Pointer,
Texas
on
don't
the other
fuck
hand, was
around.
convicted of first-degree murder for intentionally causing Robert's death.
Yes.
And sentenced to life in prison.
Fuck yes. Fuck you, bitch. Fucking slut. Stupid psycho slut bitch. Fucking good riddance. All right, what else we got? What else we got? I'm gonna need to. I need to grab some more water. Give me a sec, boys. Dude, my fucking shoulders are getting worse, man. Sleeping tonight's gonna fucking suck. God damn it. It's July 4th, but I mean, if y'all wanted to hang out or whatever, I'm just gonna put it out there, man. Like, holiday or not, dude. Holidays are every year. What's not dark out there, man? Holidays happen every year, so. Let me reheat this plate up too. I'm hungry again. Ugh, I'm cold, but I can't put a shirt on because it fucking hurts. I'm just sunburnt, bro. I'm sunburnt to shit. No, dude, I sunburn really easily, and like especially my shoulders. Like, it's weird. My arms don't really get sunburned, they just tan, but my shoulders and my upper back, like, they sunburn like fuck. I don't know what happened to my aloe vera. Okay, fuck that. All right, what else we got? What else we got?
Making his...
The horror inside the hollowed tree. There's another Ewu, also known as Explore With Us. This one's got 6.4 million views. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's how many subscribers they have. God, dude, they must be making bank. 10 million views.
I knew I must have done something wrong. And I found her in my house. She kind of...
I am out at her house now. I just went in her home because I'm so worried about her.
This is 30-year-old Matthew Hoffman. He's just been arrested at one of the most bizarre crime scenes ever, filled with something so strange that you'll have to see it to believe it. After sitting in complete silence for hours, in approximately 3 seconds you'll see him finally crack and speak for the first time, admitting that a missing 13-year-old girl was found in his basement.
I can't tell you anything because I don't know.
But what he says next is completely unexpected. When Valerie Haythorne became concerned that something horrible had happened to her coworker after she failed to show up for work, she broke into her house only to find a disturbing scene. However, she would soon discover that her coworker wasn't the only one missing, and the truth of what happened was even more horrific than anyone even feared. The nightmare began on Wednesday, November 10th, 2010 in Apple Valley, Ohio, when 32-year-old Tina Herman, a reliable employee at the local Dairy Queen, missed a day of work. For most people, this wouldn't be a big deal. However, she also wasn't answering any texts or calls, all of which was highly unusual for her. Concerned for her well-being, Valerie Haythorne, Tina's manager, decided to drive by her house and make sure everything was okay. She saw Tina's truck was in the driveway with another unknown car, and that the lights were on inside the house. But she still felt like something wasn't quite right. She called the police and told them that Tina hadn't shown up for work.
Sheriff Barber's office.
Hi, my name is Valerie Haythorne,
Uh-huh.
and I work out at Dairy Queen. I'm the general manager out there.
Uh-huh.
One of my employees did not show up for work this afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Which is totally uncharacteristic of her. She's one of my managers.
Okay.
I drove out by her house and went and knocked on the door, left her a note. She's not answering her phone, which is totally uncharacteristic. She's not answering her texts, and she is not at home, but her truck and her coat are in her house. Her truck's there and her coat is in the house. I'm very concerned about her.
What's her name?
Her name is Tina Herman, Herrmann.
Okay.
I know that she and her boyfriend are splitting up, and he can be a real jerk with her.
Okay. Do you have a phone number for her?
Oh, God, I do, but it's in my phone. I'd have to call you back.
Okay, that's fine. What was your name again?
My name is Valerie Haythorne.
Okay. Okay, I will have a deputy swing out there and check on her.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime. Uh-huh.
All right, bye.
Responding rather quickly, 2 different officers at different times showed up to check the residence, but when they knocked, no one came to the door. They left the matter unresolved. The next day, an officer called East Knox Schools to find out if Tina's 2 children, 13-year-old Sarah Maynard and 10-year-old Cody Maynard, had been in school. They were told that both children were in school on Wednesday but hadn't shown up on Thursday. Soon, a man named Ron Metcalf was also contacting the police because his girlfriend, 41-year-old Stephanie Sprang, appeared to be missing. She was Tina's best friend, and they'd been together before he lost contact with Stephanie. Ron had last spoken to Stephanie around 12:45 on Wednesday, but she hadn't answered any of his calls since then. Around 4 p.m. on this same Thursday, Tina's determined boss, Valerie, decided to take matters into her own hands. When she got to Tina's house, she noticed that Tina's truck was now gone from the driveway, and only the unknown vehicle was left. This vehicle would turn out to belong to Stephanie. When her knocks on the front door went unanswered, Valerie decided to enter the house using an unlocked window on the back porch. Once inside, she saw blood in the bathroom and on the carpet, as well as splattered throughout the home. She immediately left the house and called the police.
This is Deputy Selby. I can help you.
Yes, this is Valerie Haythorne. I called in last night about Tina Herman being missing. I am out at her house now. I just went in her home because I'm so worried about her. There is blood everywhere.
Okay. Where are you at? I'm sorry. I just got back today, so.
Okay.
So you just need to kind of fill me in a little bit, okay?
Tina Herman works for me. She did not show up for work yesterday, and we have not been able to locate her or her children for it's been 24 hours now. I just spoke with...
No, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
I just need an address. I just need an address.
481...
Okay, well, you told her to fill you in, buddy.
Beach Drive in Apple Valley.
Okay. Just give us a few minutes, and we'll be in round, okay?
Okay, so...
Don't go back in the house.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in the driveway.
Okay, thank you.
No, right.
All right, bye.
Bye.
By Friday, November 12th, the police were officially investigating 4 disappearances: Tina, Sarah, Cody, and Stephanie. The family dog, a miniature pinscher named Tanner, was also missing. The house was searched for clues, and the first discovery was very disheartening. The initial crime scene investigation concluded that the evidence indicated assault with bodily injury, including a large amount of blood and what looked like drag marks leading to the bathroom. There was also blood on the top of the basement stairs and in the basement. Something terrible had happened in Tina's home, but the exact extent of the horror still wasn't clear. The first suspect in the disappearances was the most obvious. Right at the beginning of the investigation, the police were told that Tina and her boyfriend were in the middle of a breakup, and her friends were worried that something may have happened between them. Gregory Borders, Tina's live-in boyfriend, who was not the father of her children, was interviewed immediately after he came to the police station voluntarily. In his statement, he admitted that he and Tina had split up, but they were still living in the house together until either of them could make other arrangements. Interestingly, Gregory normally has Wednesdays off from work, the day Tina went missing, but he decided to work overtime at Target Distribution in West Jefferson, Ohio, about 1.5 hours away. He worked from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., but instead of coming back home, he said he stayed at a friend's house in Urbana, as they had plans to play golf in Bellefontaine the next day. It all seemed very convenient, except that all of his time was accounted for, and his friend verified that they had dinner together and stayed in watching TV. Gregory received a call from his mother around noon on Thursday, and she told him that Tina was missing. But instead of panicking and coming to help look for her, he just assumed she took the day off and continued to golf. Gregory only realized his assumption couldn't have been more wrong when he finally returned to the home he shared with Tina. There he found that an investigation into the disappearances had already begun. After investigators cleared the crime...
Dude, holy fuck, my shoulders, bro, they hurt so bad. I gotta remember to put on sunscreen next time, dude. I didn't think I was gonna get burned like that. So he probably knew who the fuck did it then. Or, I mean, I don't know. I guess if it's your ex-girlfriend, I don't know.
Scene. Gregory's own family arrived with bleach to clean up the blood in the house so that he wouldn't have to see it. With Gregory cleared, investigators had to move on to other leads. The next development was on that same Thursday when Tina's vehicle was discovered abandoned in the campus parking lot of the nearby Kenyon College, with no sign of her or anyone else. But it was something at the crime scene back at Tina's house that soon became the most promising piece of evidence. Investigators found Walmart shopping bags containing 2 tarps and a box of heavy-duty trash bags. Now, that's not a good sign at all. But in this case, it was also the investigation's big break because, along with the shopping bags, they also found a receipt for the purchase. Detectives wasted no time requesting the surveillance footage from the Walmart in Mount Vernon and began scouring it for someone making the suspicious purchase of garbage bags and tarps, along with a turkey sandwich and a t-shirt which was seen on the receipt. It wasn't long before they found him, buying the items just after midnight on Thursday morning. Just to be sure they had the right guy, investigators obtained a copy of the receipt from the suspicious transaction and compared the product codes with the receipt they found at the crime scene, and they matched. The suspect was a white male, 25 to 40 years old, with brown hair, wearing a camouflage shirt and glasses. He was caught on the footage leaving the Walmart in a silver Toyota Yaris. Using still images of the suspect, the investigators used the Ohio Law Enforcement Gateway to search for any owners of a silver Toyota Yaris. It was then that they found a name, 30-year-old Matthew J. Hoffman. His vehicle appeared to match the surveillance video, and in his Ohio BMV photo, taken only 16 days before the Walmart footage was caught, he was even wearing a camouflage shirt similar to the one in the video. Obviously, the police knew they had to talk to him, but Matthew had 2 possible addresses. One belonged to his mother, Patricia Heglin, and was only 0.4 miles from Tina's home. The other was registered under his name and was only 10 miles from Tina's. If there was any doubt that Matthew was the right guy, a search of the Knox County Sheriff's Office revealed that he had actually been stopped near where Tina's van was found within the same hour that it was discovered. An officer had stopped him to ask why he was in the area, but believing nothing was amiss, let him go. The sheriff's office also revealed that there was also a report of domestic violence between Matthew and his then-living girlfriend that occurred about 1 month before the disappearances. During an argument, Matthew allegedly choked his now ex-girlfriend. It was also discovered that following the breakup, Matthew had just recently been fired from his job as a tree trimmer for apparently making his supervisor uncomfortable. His ex-girlfriend was contacted, and she told the police that Matthew no longer lived at his mother's house and hadn't for several months. Finally, the police knew where to look for Tina, Sarah, Cody, and Stephanie. Once search warrants were obtained just 3 days after the disappearances, a SWAT team descended on Matthew's home. Because they weren't sure if Matthew had kidnapped the 4 people, they conducted a no-knock search and used a ram to force entry through the front door. They then threw in a flash grenade before they entered the home. What they found was more bizarre than they could have ever expected. Matthew was asleep on the sofa. He resisted a little by not showing his hands when asked, but he was quickly arrested and removed from the home. As soon as he was taken care of, officers noticed something particularly strange about the house. There were leaves everywhere. The living room floor was almost completely covered in a huge pile of leaves. At first, the police were worried that the leaf pile might be hiding something sinister, like a body. But after searching through, they were relieved to find that this wasn't the case. Still, things only got weirder from there. There were also bags of leaves lining every wall of the bathroom. After breaking down the door of a locked bedroom, police discovered what looked like a marijuana growing operation that was not active. In a freezer, they found 2 dead squirrels lying right next to a few red popsicles. But the biggest surprise was hidden in the basement. A cabinet was blocking the doorway, but taken care of, officers noticed something particularly strange about the house. There were leaves everywhere. The living room floor was almost completely covered in a huge pile of leaves. At first, the police were worried that the leaf pile might be hiding something sinister, like a body. But after searching through, they were relieved to find that this wasn't the case. Still, things only got weirder from there. There were also bags of leaves.
Guess she's using it as, like, soundproofing or some shit. Which, I'm gonna be real, not a bad idea. I never would have thought to do that, but I guess, yeah, you can use a bunch of leaves for some soundproofing. I don't know why the fuck you would do that.
Lining every wall of the bathroom. After breaking down the door of a locked bedroom, police discovered
Great Real Tree People Leader Beers. Huh? Or lighter beers? What is that? Is that a... That looks like to be a I don't know what the fuck that is. A laptop or something?
Discovered what looked like a marijuana growing operation that was not active. In a freezer, they found 2 dead squirrels lying right next to a few red popsicles. But the biggest surprise was hidden in the basement. A cabinet was blocking the doorway, but once moved, an officer discovered Tina's daughter, Sarah Maynard, lying on a sleeping bag on top of a pile of leaves in Matthew's basement. Her feet and hands were bound with yellow rope and duct tape. Alongside her in the basement were more trash bags filled with leaves. Thankfully, Sarah appeared to be unharmed, but she was wearing a makeshift diaper made from a plastic bag. As officers approached her, she was very confused and told them that she was late for school and kept asking if they knew anything about what happened to her dog, Tanner. Sarah was likely in shock or possibly dissociating. When something very scary or traumatic happens, someone may dissociate to protect themselves. They may feel disconnected from what is really going on or as though they are in a dreamlike state because reality is too difficult to face. Have you ever gotten in the car to drive home and then suddenly you realize you're almost back, but you don't remember the drive? That is a very mild form of dissociation. There was no sign of Tina, Cody, or Stephanie anywhere in the home. Investigators took care to photograph the way Sarah was bound before they freed her and brought her upstairs to wait for medical attention. Sarah was then brought by EMS to Knox Community Hospital, where she was thoroughly examined and questioned. Despite the trauma she'd endured, she carefully outlined every detail of what had happened. She said that she and her brother had returned home from school on Wednesday and were attacked by Matthew as soon as they entered. She ran to her bedroom, but Matthew grabbed her and carried her down into the basement. There he found some rope that was already in the house and used it to tie her up. He then left her on the kitchen floor for a period of time. She wasn't sure how long before he put her into Stephanie's Jeep and drove her to the Howard Ballfield parking lot. He covered her with blankets and left her there. Matthew later returned and put her into another car and drove to his house. Once there, he bound her hands in work gloves and duct tape.
Wait, why didn't she just get out of the fucking car? Oh, she's tied up? Yeah, she was tied up. Well, maybe she was like hogtied or something. She must have been hogtied. I feel like you could still get out. If your hands are just bound, you just unlock.
Blankets and left her there. Matthew later returned and put her into another car and drove to his house. Once there, he bound her hands in work gloves and duct tape, had her gagged, and kept her locked in the bathroom in a closet before he put her into the basement. Sarah said that she believed Matthew had killed her mother, brother, Stephanie, and her dog, but she wasn't sure. She revealed that during the time Matthew had kidnapped her, about 4 days, he cut her finger with a knife, repeatedly assaulted her, and said that he was going to release her before Christmas, but he never told her what happened to her mother, brother, or Stephanie. After being medically cleared, Sarah was then released into her father's custody. Initially, after he was arrested, Matthew was placed under 24-hour watch after crying and threatening to harm himself. Eventually, though, he was brought in to speak with investigators. The following interrogations took place over 4 days and have never been analyzed before. The interrogator reads Matthew his Miranda rights, but he's almost completely unresponsive and barely even acknowledges the detectives.
Bottom paragraph says, "My rights have been explained to me and I understand each of those rights. Having those rights in mind, I'm willing this time to make a statement or answer questions." You understand that,
Messing
Matt?
with my feet. Stop it.
Yeah. You understand?
It's possible that Matthew is in a catatonic state, which can occur with some psychological disorders, including schizophrenia. When the person is experiencing catatonia, they may be completely unresponsive with their body, like Matthew is now. It's also possible that this is his way of coping with the stress of the interrogation. Someone who is under extreme stress may limit their movements in an effort to go unnoticed, also known as freezing. Of course, it's also the possibility that he's refusing to cooperate to intentionally avoid having to answer questions.
You want to talk to one of us alone, or do you want us both in here, or you comfortable with both of us being here? Matt?
Soon they start to get creative in the hopes that Matthew will begin talking.
Hey, Matt, can I ask you a question? You look familiar. You look familiar to me. You, work out at the gym?
Though Matthew remains silent, he finally reacts, but what he does is one of the most bizarre things we have ever seen in an interrogation.
You know, other people, there's family members out there of other people, and all they want is closure. That's all they want. They've been up for days like you and I have, you know? Heart hurts. I don't understand sign language, man.
Matthew's hand signals seem to say that his heart is broken. This is, of course, not real sign language. However, it's certainly odd that he's using hand signals to communicate. But this could be an indication of Matthew's childlike nature.
What do you want from us? Tell me what you want from us.
Matthew sits with his eyes closed as the detectives try relentlessly to get him to start talking.
We want a couple minutes here just to kind of think about all this, because I know it's overwhelming for you right now.
I'm beginning to think Matt don't care.
What you doing, Katie?
He cares.
The detectives are speaking as if Matthew isn't in the room. They're likely trying to see if something they say strikes a chord and makes him want to chime in to correct their assumptions about him. When this attempt doesn't work, the interrogator tries another, more confrontational approach.
Somebody will cry today. If I make a phone call after this interview, somebody will cry. But I guarantee you, some of that cry will be joy. Because they know where Cody is. They know where Tina is. They know where Stephanie is. I know they'll cry for somewhat joy, Matt, because I've already heard it with Sarah.
Matthew tightens one hand into a fist and then covers it with the other hand, a sign that he's feeling very anxious.
What I'm probably going to do, Matt, is leave this room, and when I get away from these guys, probably cry like a baby. Because it's working on me, man. Big time.
Finally, after sitting in silence and almost completely unresponsive for over 4 hours, Matthew cracks.
I can't tell you anything because I don't know. You don't know? I knew I must have done something wrong. And I found her in my house. She kind of... And so I took care of her.
Psychopaths often try to paint themselves as the good guy or the hero like Matthew did here when claiming that he took care of Sarah. This is a sign of antisocial personality disorder, also known as ASPD. However, when someone with psychopathy does something horrible, they will sometimes pick out one positive thing. Someone with personality disorder, also...
Psychopaths often paint themselves as the good guy or the hero. Really? Matthew is not formally diagnosed with ASPD or psychopathy, and the psychological analysis is not based on a formal
known as
assessment.
ASPD. However, when someone with psychopathy...
Psychopaths and those with ASPD will often pick out one positive action in the midst of all the horrible to claim they are good. Kind of like that other dude we watched.
does something horrible, they will sometimes pick out one positive thing they did in the midst of all the horrible things in order to claim that they are good. What Matthew claims he had done to, in his words, take care of Sarah, was feed her, let her watch the movie Iron Man, and allow her to borrow his copy of the book Treasure Island.
I don't really know anything else. So I was trying to figure out what had happened.
Matthew's claim to not know what he did is one of the mysteries with psychopaths and people with severe personality disorders, because they sometimes dissociate and can't recall their actions. This is particularly true for the very mentally ill psychopaths, such as someone with psychopathy mixed with psychosis. Other times, their supposed inability to remember is just their way of manipulating and pretending that they weren't aware of what they were doing.
At what point did you find her tied up in your house? Thursday. Did you ask her? Did you speak with her about, what happened? How did you get here? Anything like that?
She said I'd done it. I figured I had done something I didn't know. I just could try to put pieces together.
It still isn't clear what happened to Tina, Cody, or Stephanie, or where they are. However, given the evidence of blood found in the home and Sarah's testimony that she believed Matthew killed them, investigators weren't hopeful that they would be found alive.
Did you recognize her as someone that you had seen before? And, did you realize that this is a person you'd seen before that now was in your house, or
I don't know
didn't
her.
make that connection? You don't know her? I mean, I'm just asking because they were the pictures on the camera and they weren't taken, at the time that this happened. So I was just wondering if you, in other words, if it was someone you knew and then, wow, how did you get here in my house? Because she said that she asked you a couple of times. Do you remember that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Childlike behavior is very typical of people with personality disorders, including ASPD. However, Matthew is extremely childlike. When under stress, psychopaths and many people with ASPD often regress to childlike behaviors, but they often do so knowingly as a way to attempt to manipulate their way out of consequences. A female officer, believed to be a psychologist, enters the room and begins speaking with Matthew one-on-one. She set up the room differently so they're more side by side instead of across the table, which doesn't allow Matthew to have the barrier of the table between them, keeping his distance and guard up.
Alright, I'm getting cold, dude. I gotta try to... let me see if I can put on a shirt. What are you doing up there, kitty? What are you doing up there? I'll try not to disturb you, okay? Fuck. My shit is really burnt. My shit is really burnt. Fuck.
I think what we were talking about earlier and kind of feeling alone, and that's definitely how I felt when I went to Chicago. I knew no one there. I was the only one out of my class sent there.
The interviewer is trying to build rapport with Matthew and trying to make it seem like she can relate to him, possibly feeling lonely in a city where you don't know anyone. This is to make him feel less judged and to start moving him closer to a confession.
But you had a purpose.
Yeah.
Ikigai.
What's that?
Japanese.
Oh.
Ikigai. Sense of purpose.
He latches onto her comment about a lack of purpose. She'll now likely use this as the theme for why he did what he...
God damn. I'm gonna be real, bro. If this is happening to you, just go bald, dude. Just go bald.
did, as he was receptive to it. This is a step in the Reed technique of theme development. When developing themes, the interrogator speaks in a soft, soothing voice to appear non-threatening and to lull the suspect into a false sense of security.
So I did go out to Colorado after I graduated high school.
Did you?
That's where I got into my first trouble. I did something really bad. I pieced it together. I figured it out. And I went and turned myself in out of my first prison time.
But you went out there with a sense of purpose.
It is clear he likes playing the victim role, and the interviewer will allow him to seem like a victim to get him to confess. But admitting that he had done something very bad in the past, it shows that he has some awareness of what bad is. So if there is any doubt that he's insane, this could show that he's likely not entirely insane.
Nah, he's just a fucking weirdo.
I took her down the condo.
In 2001, Matthew was convicted of arson, burglary, assault, and motor vehicle theft while in Routt County, Colorado. It's believed that he set fire to a vacation condo to hide any evidence that he'd been staying there without the owner's permission. He was eventually released from prison and paroled back to Ohio.
It's okay. You didn't want to hurt anybody. You just wanted to release.
The investigator now offers a justification for his actions, saying he just wanted a release and didn't want to hurt anybody. This is another Reed technique used to make him feel more at ease with admitting to the things he did, as she's proposed a more morally acceptable reason for his actions that he can latch onto.
I don't want to hurt anyone. It's not me.
Again, her tactic works, and he repeats what she said.
You know what antipsychotic medication is?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't. I read about it. It doesn't directly address the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's just powerful tranquilizers. I'll take it if I have to. I don't want to be a teacher.
It's interesting that Matthew agrees he will take an antipsychotic medication if he has to. It appears that he may be trying to claim that he is psychotic or was acting due to psychosis when he committed the crime.
Yeah, he's trying to act like he's got fucking another personality or something.
Because I must have done something bad. I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Wow, that can you work through?
Again, he's playing innocent and claiming to be unaware of his actions. This is not a believable tactic. And hearing this, it's easy to assume that he's lying and manipulating or playing crazy to try to get out of the consequences he knows he'll be facing. While this could be the case, it's also possible that Matthew has gotten used to dissociating throughout his life, meaning that he copes with whatever unpleasant or uncomfortable feelings he experiences after doing something bad by completely erasing it from memory. This isn't a totally conscious process, of course, because people can't consciously decide to erase something from memory. However, this type of dissociation is something a person can learn to do as early as childhood, particularly people who have gone through severe abuse during childhood. In addition, detectives found an extremely large number of leaves inside Matthew's home. This is certainly unusual and may be a sign of a severe mental health disorder. One of the symptoms of schizophrenia is delusions, in which the person may hold strange or odd beliefs. Although Matthew has made no mention of the leaves, it's possible that he holds some type of delusion involving leaves. The sheer amount of time that it would have taken him to gather that many leaves and bring inside lends support to the theory that he likely has a very strongly held belief about the leaves.
Okay, potentially, I can't, guarantee these things. What facility you might go to, where you might go, what might happen, and the attitude that the people in the system are going to take toward you can be affected by the fact that you decided at this point to do the right thing.
The male detective takes a very different approach with Matthew than the previous interrogator. He's much louder, more aggressive, and more direct.
From the moment we broke into your house, found you and found her in the basement, you owned it all. You own it all. Okay? You can't do anything about the part of it you own.
Matthew clearly doesn't respond well to the detective's assertive and somewhat aggressive approach. It appears that he's covering his ears with his arms, possibly trying to block out what the detective is saying. He's silent again, and the detective allows the silence to linger in the hopes that he will make a decision as to whether he will confess. The detective mirrors Matthew's posture and body language here. Although this can be viewed as a way of invading Matthew's personal space, it could also be the detective's way of trying to connect with Matthew.
This is all.
And I'm talking.
I'm not trying to watch.
Talk to you guys, it's only that stuff. I don't have any life left.
Well, I disagree on that. I think you do, and you can.
Matthew is intelligent and knows that if he tells them where the bodies are, there's no guarantee of any real benefit to him. The most likely way to get him to give up this information would be an expense. Or is what we are seeing actually the real Matthew? Matthew later revealed that he made up the entire story about his dream about the food processing plant, where he opened a trash bag and saw cut-up body parts. He admitted that it was all a lie to try and get himself killed by the police, because he didn't want to be injected with Thorazine, an antipsychotic medication, for the rest of his life. He said he still didn't remember where the bodies were. In a written confession, Matthew admitted even more, telling the investigators that he'd been staking out Tina's home the night before the attack, sleeping in the woods across the street. The next morning, he watched as everyone left and then snuck into the home through the garage. His plan had been to burglarize the home and sneak away without anyone seeing him. He chose Tina's house because there weren't any close neighbors, and the door was often left ajar. However, Tina and Stephanie returned and caught Matthew in the act. He claimed he ambushed them in a panic. He wrote, "I was in a total state of shock. I wandered around the house, slowly coming to realization of what I'd done and how bad it was. During this time, I killed Tina's dog because it would not stop barking. It only got worse because then Sarah and Cody returned home. Matthew attacked and killed Cody before tying up Sarah." He wrote, "I did not enter the house to kill those people. I did not know a single one of them." Shortly after killing Tina, Stephanie, and Cody, Matthew drove to Gambier to collect gas cans from his own vehicle with the intention of burning down Tina's house. It was then that he was stopped by an officer who eventually let him go. He gave up his plan to burn down the house and instead returned to his own, where he built a campfire, burned his shoes, and drank a bottle of wine. On November 18th, Matthew finally cracked and agreed to show investigators the location of Tina, Cody, and Stephanie's bodies. It's unclear if Matthew's memory of what he did came back, or more likely, if he'd been lying about not remembering all along. He described the spot to officers where he dumped the bodies, hidden in the Cocosine Wildlife Area. As the detectives traveled through fields to a wooded area, other officers secured the perimeter. They eventually found a hollow beech tree that matched Matthew's description, which had a hole about 6 feet up from the ground. There was also a second larger hole near the branches. When an officer looked inside the hole, they spotted what looked like trash bags hidden inside the tree. Another hole was cut in the tree and the trash bags were examined, revealing remains belonging to Tina Herman, Cody Maynard, Stephanie Sprang, and Tanner the dog. Matthew later revealed he got the bodies inside the tree using the top hole and a rig and pulley system to drop them inside. There's some speculation that when Matthew worked as a tree trimmer, he had hollowed out the tree himself. On January 6, 2011, Matthew avoided the death penalty by pleading guilty to 10 felonies. After everything that was found, it was clear that Matthew had a bizarre obsession with leaves. Forensic psychologists testified that his leaf obsession was delusional, and they believed that he may have hidden the bodies inside of a tree because it was familiar and comforting to him. Matthew Hoffman was then sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. That same month, his leaf-filled home went into foreclosure, and eventually the tree where the bodies had been hidden was cut down.
What a fucking weirdo, dude.